I was like I just realized I was doing like the Donald Trump at his rally dance. Not inviting anything political at all. I don't know if you guys have ever watched the videos of the little dance that he always did at his rallies when this old man tried to dance, but it was every single time it was this little. And you know, I'll let you fill in what that looks like someone is doing. But it was pretty funny. It was pretty funny. How we doing today? I'm doing like shit. Oh God, it's funny. It's running a towel through his ear holes. That's very generous of you, Project Dark Fox. Some might say that it looks like a man is performing as the hub of his own circle jerk, which is, you know, ironic on a few levels. It's funny that Project Dark Fox over here with the warm brains, live brains. First of all, I just recently watched Return of the Living Dead Part 2 for the first time. I've seen Return of the Living Dead, Return of the Living Dead, plenty of times. A lot of times as a kid, I was never as big a fan of Return of the Living Dead. I was, She's Fine, which kind of is fucking annoying. Like, she's like, oh, I feel a little tired today, that's all, and I'm like, oh God. And I bring up Return of the Living Dead for a few reasons. One of the reasons being that they always describe themselves in those movies as the characters are, succumbing to the trioxin or whatever the infectious chemical is. As, they're dying, but they're also still alive. And so rigor mortis sets in, and their muscles tighten, and their joints lock up, and they have to, like, snap them back into place, and then it's the pain of death and rotting that they then alleviate by eating live brains. Not just human brains in that one, I note. In Return of the Living Dead Part 2, there's a scene where the zombies go full crazy buffet on a pet store, which was actually, like, one of the more upsetting scenes for me. Like, the concerned dad getting his skull bit open and his brains consumed in the middle of the street. I was like, oh, that guy. But then when it's like dogs and cats yiping while zombies are going crazy breaking into a pet store, I'm like, oh no, we gotta fast forward. We gotta fast forward through this scene. This is a bit much. Oh, but that's how I feel. I feel like rigor mortis, early onset rigor mortis set in. That's the best way that I can describe it. Oh, it didn't happen for like 12 hours afterwards, but then just all of my joints are stiff, all of my muscles are tight, and it's, I've been stretching Data Nerd. It doesn't seem to really do all that much for me. I've been stretching, taking ibuprofen. Kind of doped myself up yesterday with some, allergy medications. I'm a little off today. Yeah, the COVID vaccine is turning me into a zombie specifically from Return of the Living Dead. Very specifically. Brains do sound very nice right now. I think that would do a lot to alleviate this pain. Oh, I've been doing Data Nerd, trust me. If it's a thing that can relax muscles, I've been pretty much all about it for the last 48 hours. It comes back very quickly as soon as you stop moving. And then while I am moving, my joints are all like just arguing with me. I'm looking for, it's not as bad as it was yesterday. Yesterday was really bad. Like even the joints in my fingers were everything just hurt. Moving anything hurt. And the weirdest thing that happened, and this is one that I wasn't sure if it was really happening or if it was like psychosomatic, like I was telling myself it was happening and maybe it was unrelated, but it's like all of the usual sensory areas, the palms of my hand, tips of my fingers, bottoms of my feet, and my tongue, like the inside of my mouth, all became hypersensitive to touch. And this is a weird one, because I ate some crackers, and it was like, I'm like Daredevil, but with the most useless version of his powers you could possibly comprehend, where I'm like, I can feel every level of this cracker as it comes apart on my tongue, like individual little fragmentary edges, and like, it was bizarre. And like walking around the house on a wood floor, like I could feel the wood grain very specifically. Again, I thought like maybe I'm just crazy. Maybe this isn't really happening. Maybe I'm just having a moment of hypersensitivity. This went on for a good 30 hours. It was very strange. I don't know. I guess my DNA is being broken apart as I am slowly converted into Hillary Clinton. So, you know, what are you gonna do? Cha-cha-cha-cha. Should not have read that report. Wait, what are you talking about, White Wolf? Dogs and cats and zombies. Yeah, there's a scene in Return of the Living Dead Part 2 where zombies eat a bunch of dogs and cats, and it was easily the most upsetting part of the movie for me. That and the part where one of the severed zombie heads speaks in like a Texan accent and is comic relief. That was... This was also a bit of a negative in that film for me. It's not like the first movie was terribly serious, but it was like punk rock the movie, and it was still really upsetting. And the second one was like, it's all just kind of silly. All kind of silly. I mean, the whole premise is silly, but it was like extra silly. Oh, so we're gonna have a bit of a short stream today. I feel like, I don't know how long I'm gonna be able to go, but I want to get some painting done one way or the other. We're not gonna be doing oils today. I still have those scheduled for. We're gonna be doing some Mon Pak oils on Tuesday. I need to do a little bit more prep work before that. A little bit more prep work. But yeah, we're gonna work on a Warjack today. Just gotta get some progress on that. Oh. I'm very, very sorry for that whole event and the fact that you have now read the report on it, White Wolf. I wish that I could offer anything besides, wow, that sucks and I'm very sorry. But that's about what I've got. Data Nerd. Where's my water, Data Nerd? What'd you do with it? Oh, there it is. It's behind my light arch. Oh, God, I gotta drink some water. I hope you guys are having a better weekend than I am. I gotta say, for all my complaining, I'm really just glad that this is done with. It was my birthday present from the government. And now I'm just kind of counting down until it's considered to have fully taken effect. And I mean, obviously, as soon as the like 2-week period has passed, I'm going to go on the Odyssey that I've been waiting on this entire year. The culinary event of the century, as many of you know, I've talked about it many times. I am going to go into town and lick every handrail that I can find in as many public transportation methods as I can get to in one day. Because I've been really, really wanting to do that. I've been fantasizing about it, really. And now that I have the vaccine, I can do it. My dream will be complete. That's what it does, right? It makes you completely and totally immune to all forms of disease and bacteria. I think that's what the doctor was saying. Gotta be honest, I wasn't really listening. Oh, like I owe it money? Data Nerd? It's just, you know, I know everybody's said this, and I know we all know it to be true. There's just a point at which it's like, oh, I had another birthday. Cool. All I want for my birthday is for everyone in the world to leave me the fuck alone. And you know what they did for the most part on my birthday? They did that. It was a wonderful day in that respect. Oh, God. Why is linear time the way that it is? Why? It's not fair. White Wolf. Somebody who ain't thinking, I can tell you that much. Yeah, that's what they were saying, Data Nerds. Like, you can still get it, it's just that all the scary numbers are greatly reduced. Like, your chances of hospitalization go down sharply, and it won't get bad enough to interact with my other pre-existing issues. I feel a lot better. I'm not gonna go crazy. but I am going to get out a little bit more. Still trying to get that Dr. P.H. Martin Blue to behave the way I want it to. Going to try airbrushing it atop a white primer and see if I like that effect. It goes beautifully through an airbrush. That's one of the primary uses I recommend for it, Ion Raptor. And really, like, you need 1-2 drops in the airbrush, and you just need to feather. Just feather the trigger. Just barely even do anything. It goes on so vivid. It works through an airbrush. B-E-A-U. Tivoli. How you doing today, Ion Raptor? I haven't had a chance to print out that file you sent me. I mean, I've had a chance. I've just been lying around complaining and bitching and groaning, so I haven't done it. But hopefully here in the next 24 hours I'll be able to get a... I need to start a plate of some of my other similarly sized designs. There's going to be plenty of room on it for those, so I'm going to start a plate up probably after the stream tonight. Oh my god. I can't brain today. I thought about, like, oh, maybe today's a good day to try some 3D modeling on stream, but I sat down to do some of it, and I'm just like, no. So I'm gonna dig into this here Warjack, and we're gonna see if we can't do something worthwhile. Camera's working? Fantastic. Gonna put the cruiser down overnight? Nice. Maybe I should drink tea instead of beer tonight. Well, probably a good idea, but I've already started drinking beer. Maybe I'll have some tea after my beer. What's the saying? Tea after beer, you're in the clear. Beer before tea, gonna have to pee. I think is the phrase. I'm pretty sure I heard that someplace. I'm gonna pull out some reds and some Vallejo smoke here. Touch of orange, touch of yellow, touch of yellow. So I need to ask Kursala about this mud before I put it down on something else. I gave it a chance to dry on some of the bases that I put it on, Data Nerd, and it dried almost like a weathering pigment. Like, it has this real dusty, chalky finish to it. And I wanted to ask, like, wait, is that what it's supposed to do? And I just used it completely wrong. I was just using it like a dark wash. I thought mud was suggested. But if it's meant to dry like an actual mud effect, that is... You know, I'm not even shaking this to use it, White Wolf. I just have a bottle in my hand. And because when I'm streaming and painting at the same time, like, everything is just on autopilot. So I just start shaking it. I'm not even thinking about it. Like, I don't even need a mixed. I'm just doing it, you know? Who the hell knows? Who the hell knows? I am gonna mix these ones I'm gonna use, though. The last thing I'm doing right now is thoroughly exercising for Gatorone. Project Dark Foxer. Your name's both purple. Nah. Ugh. Oh. Okay. This should be enough to get me through a couple rounds of painting. Would have picked lavender, but purple was the closest thing. I mean, you're in good company. I also like purple. Mix up a little bit of this. Is this Aldebaran red? That's what I meant to grab. Yes, it's Aldebaran red. Praise be. I gotta put a glove on. Oh god. Oh my god, you guys. Welcome. Welcome to painting with vaccine brain. Oh my god. So what's everybody up to tonight? Working on anything interesting? I've been sluggish for a few days. It always makes me feel like I'm falling behind. I don't know what I'm falling behind on exactly. I don't have any super pressing deadlines I need to be meeting right now or anything like that. I just, you know, it's a general feeling of like, why aren't I working? Everybody else is working. That's healthy, right? Probably not. Haven't done anything remarkable today. That's okay. We don't need to do anything remarkable every day. You do remarkable things plenty, PDF. Plenty. Supposed to be used like, well, a woodworking stain. The more pigment that suspension can hold, so once it's mixed well, it should settle on the base with the browns at the bottom and some light feathering towards the edges. Okay. Maybe I didn't mix it enough, Kursala. I got kind of a funny result out of it, but I've only tried it the one time, so I need to spend a little bit of time just experimenting with it on some primed pieces of plastic. This is the one thing I should do more of in my painting, is actual, like, paint experimentation instead of just throwing it down and hoping for the best. So many things. God, there's so many things I should do just in life. Life is like that sometimes. So as with my previous Eternus Continuum figures, I'm just going around and doing all of my glow effects before I move to any of my higher bits of painting. How you doing, Amateur Paint Hour? Good to see you to Square. Welcome in. I apologize if I am a bit low energy compared to my usual self today, but I thought about skipping the stream today, but I've got work to do, and I just want to get at least some painting done on this Warjack today, so I keep making forward progress at a minimum. Like I've said a few times, you know, if you can just make yourself paint for like 15 minutes a day. Make yourself paint for 15 minutes a day. First of all, you'll often paint for more than that, whether you meant to or not. And secondly, that 15 minutes a day can add up very, very quickly over the course of a week or longer, until, what do you know, you painted a whole damn mini. What a concept. Only have a few of these jacks to go. Oh, I missed a spot. Let's hit that real quick. Dope Scourge, what's up, man? How you doing? I forgot what you told me to call you last time. It was like Eat You? Was that it? Help me out, Captain Binary. Binary Man. Thank you so much for that shout out going out to Amateur Paint Hour. Guys, definitely check that channel out if you got a chance, which I'm betting you do, because it doesn't take much time. I have a curiosity, what is Raxus supposed to be? Like, person, robot, sentient AI? So he's supposed to be, he was a human being. He was possibly a human being at some point. It's not strictly clear what the leaders of the Eternus Continuum are at this point, but they have, they're all Warcasters to a certain degree, so they can manipulate Arcanescence. And they are somewhere between alive and dead. It's not clear if the High Council has a physical form anymore, or if they're more like disembodied consciousnesses. Raxus has a physical form. It's questionable whether his body is still in that form or not, like inside of it, if it's just like a sarcophagus that his mortal remains reside within. Nobody really knows. But he moves around, and he is capable of talking to people, so that is something. Yeah, they're very transhuman. As far as I can tell, the whole goal of the Eternus Continuum is basically ascending to human godhood. Even on the lower level of clergy, they tend to replace their meat parts as often and as aggressively as they can. Lunchbox79, how you doing today, man? Did you know there's a Thunderhead Studios on Twitch? Is there really? Since when? Is he cool? Better not be cooler than me. Oh, that's right. Yeah, there is one. I don't know that anybody streams there. Because, oh my god, excuse me. There's also just a Thunderhead, which is what I wanted. But, it's claimed, and I tried sending a message to Twitch like, hey, this guy doesn't stream. It doesn't even look like he's been online in like a year. Is there any way you could, like, you know, give me this account name? And they were like, no, fuck you, don't ask. So I'm like, oh, okay, whatever. But yeah, I guess I did know there's a Thunderhead Studios who also doesn't stream, and I only knew that because during CavCon, when, who was it, Party Bear Minis tried to raid me, he put the S. Did /raid and then Thunderhead Studios, and the raid wound up going to a channel that it technically exists but doesn't really exist. So that was a bit of a whoopsie. Hey, POV, how you doing today? They have 4 followers? Those are my followers! I'm kidding, I don't fucking... I got no idea. He must be a super cool dude, though, with a name like Thunderhead Studios. Well, thank you so much, Mellow Minis. How are you? Have we gotten a shout out, by the way, from Mellow Minis, another excellent streamer? You should go ahead and toss a follow too if your follow pool for the month has regenerated. Obviously, as we all know here on Twitch, we can only follow so many people at any given time before Twitch stops letting us. You have infinite follow. You can follow anybody you want. You can follow as many people as you want. And one of them should be Mellow Minis. He's a goddamn good painter. You know, a smarter man, were I that smarter man, could set up a bot to actually shout out everybody that he intends to automatically. MCBTV does that. I go into his chat, and I just say something. I'm like, hey, what's up, man? I'm gonna lurk. And his bot is like, hello, Thunderhead Studio, how are you doing today? Let me give you a shout out. Can I make you a drink? And I'm like, yes, bot, I'd really appreciate that. Take a look at this. Okay. That's kind of what I got. I wound up with a little bit of a chalkiness. A little bit of chalkiness to the outer finish of it, but I don't think I mixed that anywhere near enough. I just like shook it up a bit and put it on the model. I wasn't really thinking about it. But then I am a lazy painter. I don't do my due diligence. Oh my god, hi! Speaking of people that should get shouted out. What's up, Jenny Joyo? How you doing? Another excellent painter here on Twitch with a very fun and welcoming stream. I hope you're having a good day today. I hope everybody's having a good day today. Hope you're having a better day than I am. I'm not really having that bad a day. I'm just in pain, that's all. Of all the things that could possibly go wrong in your life in 2021, being in mild physical discomfort, I guess, is pretty low on the list overall of like real problems to have. Wow. The triple threat. The combo. How you doing, Jay? Ugh, not at my best today, but we're just gonna make it work anyway. We are going to be starting the storm report early today because I don't believe I'm going to be able to go for the full 4 hours. I can tell you just from elevating this mini the way that I have been, my shoulder is already aching more than it normally does. Put pics of the Easter Bunny orcs in the Discord. Ooh, I'm excited to check that out. Jimmy has a... You have a very unique style, and you use a lot of very bright colors that most mini painters would shy away from. I think it's kind of a nice breath of fresh air in the mini painting world overall. As we all know, this is very serious business. Painting our little plastic and/or metal spacemen. And if we don't take it seriously, you know, what will become of us? Or resin. Okay, yeah, no, I'd hate to leave anybody out. Or resin. Resin minis, too. Lots of them resin minis out there. Which I was strangely glad to find in Monsterpocalypse after doing these metal minis for a while. Usually not that excited about in-house cast resins, but the ones from Monsterpocalypse are really quite nice. How you doing there, Matt Yee? Yee of Little Mats. Another individual who should definitely get a shout-out if you get a chance there. Project Darkfox and/or Kursala, Matt Yee. One of the drollest, driest senses of humor in the entirety of Twitch, which automatically makes him one of my favorite people. There are two options, really. Either Matt Yee is one of the most droll, sarcastic motherfuckers on Twitch, or he's just like one of the biggest assholes I've ever met in my life. And somewhere in there, the fact that you can't always tell the difference is really the joy of it. Like, that's how you know it's quality. So go give that man a follow. Oh, and he's a great painter, too. I should probably mention that. I should probably mention that he paints minis and he does a really good job at it. Oh, it's the latter. Okay. Well, now the mystery's gone. Never meet your idols, kids. Hey, what's up, Buck Dutcher? Referred to the dreaded waitlist. Lucky you living in rural Colorado, able to get vaccination 2 days after. That had more to do with my VA status than anything else, Buck Dutcher. But at least you're on the waitlist. That's something, right? Looking for those silver linings. Alright, get some orange down. Privateer's resins have been consistently good quality. Yeah, I agree, Vergatarung. I just wish they'd do more of them for Warcaster. But Warcaster is currently, like, it's an unproven property. They've had a couple of Kickstarters. I think a lot of people playing Warcaster right now recognize that we're in, like a beta rollout phase, you know? Like, kind of seeing what kind of legs the game might have before they go whole hog on it while they continue to invest in their properties that are shown to be successful. Which I'm fine with. I'm just fine with it, because the gameplay of Warcaster, it's not the models of Warcaster that attracted me to it. Don't get me wrong, I love the models. I love painting them. I think the sculpts are really cool, even if I hate metal. But the gameplay of Warcaster is what drew me to the game. Actually sitting down and playing it really, really sold me, because it has some just... Oh god, what have I done? Just some fantastic game mechanics. Just fantastic. And you know, there are a lot of people out there who are mini painters first and foremost. They paint minis, they like painting minis. Painting minis is what they do, and then every now and then maybe they play a game. While that's still, like, that pattern holds true for me, I paint far more than I play. I am, in my heart of hearts and at the core of all things, I'm a gamer. I like playing the games, and it is the games that draw me to the models most of the time rather than the other way around. That's not to say that that doesn't happen. Monster Apocalypse is a solid example of a game whose minis, I was like, I need to find out more about this game so I can know if the minis are worth painting. How's the striation on my 3D printer? Been looking to pick one up. I'm not sure if I should go resin or filament. Matt Yee, that is a somewhat complex question. It depends on what it is you are trying to do and how much you care. The striations are generally referred to as layer lines because they represent layers of the print, which I think makes a lot of sense. And on an FDM printer like the one I have on camera there, on the Ender 3, the layer lines are much more visible depending on what layer height you print at. I think the standard is like 0.2 millimeters per layer, and that's fairly visible. You can see the layer lines, and you have to do something about them if you want to conceal them. You can print it at a higher resolution, which is a lower number. I'll print at 0.12 quite a lot. If you're looking to print minis for painting purposes as opposed to terrain, which is a lot of what I do for wargaming on that printer, you're going to want to look at a resin printer, Matt. You are going to have almost no issue with layer. Like, you can still get layer lines on a resin printer, but there are, like, techniques and methods you can use to minimize them to the point where they basically don't exist. You can get nice, smooth resin to go ahead and paint on. If you're going to be printing something the size of the average Wargame mini or small busts or anything like that, which it sounds like you probably will be, I would strongly recommend the Elegoo Mars 2. It's a fantastic printer. It's basically the Mars 1, which I use, which is great, but it has a better screen that prints faster and more accurately. Vergaderung, if he hasn't already, is about to recommend a more expensive printer. And he is not wrong. It will print at higher resolution and even faster, but it is also more expensive, so you're going to have to weigh, you know, how much you're going to use it against that. For my purposes, I have found the Mars 1 to be well within my needs. I have a couple examples of things I've printed on it here. With some fairly fine detail. Let's see. It's 2K, Puck Duncher, but it's monochrome. So these gray parts, I've got a metal Warjack here for Warcaster Neo Mechanica, and then the weapons that are currently attached to his arms are all 3D prints that I've done on my Elegoo Mars version 1. The 2 is a better machine. But, you know, you can get a decent look at how smooth of a surface and how fine of a detail you can get on this. I think that this hex pattern on the surface of the shield really kind of shows it off because it's a very soft, very, very fine detail. And yet it's still printed very nicely. And this is on what at this point would be considered one of the low-end consumer models. Anything, if you're going to like the Anycubic or rather like the Frozen Mini 4K or anything like that, anything with a 4K screen, anything with a 2K screen. In fact, almost every generation of resin 3D printer is currently upgrading past the point that I printed this at. So this is going to be the low end of what you can print. And then you can, you know, put magnets in it, because that's fun. Click. Thank you so much for getting that shout out for Zombie Bro Studios. Have we gotten one for Thick Mike? I only just spotted that he came. God, I'm going to be slow today, you guys. I'm sorry. My brain really is not I am not functioning at peak capacity by any stretch of the imagination. Oh man, oh man, oh man, oh man. Thank you so much. How you doing today, Thick Mike? Paint job is jacked up. It's the joke. It's the joke I made, but worse. Alright, let's keep going. I just need to make some progress, Hethrier. If I'm not making progress every day, I start to feel antsy. Antsy in my pantsy. So why the hell not? Fire it up and do a little painting, you know? Oh, thank you. I'm gonna have to... I appreciate that. I appreciate that, guys. You might have noticed I don't really make a big deal about my own birthday. Like, it happens and people know that it happens, and I'm like, yeah, thanks. I don't know. I'm not a big birthday guy. I have one every year, you know, same as every other totally normal and totally not lizard in a skin suit human being. There's just a certain point where it's just not that big a deal anymore, where you're like, yep, I'm a year older, fucking fantastic, alright. So what's going on tomorrow? That's more or less where I am at this point. Thank you so much for that, Thick Mike. I'm a little out of focus. Whoopsie daisy. Oh, thank you, Puck Duncher, for the reminder. Theoretically, I have a birthday once a year, but I'm kind of past the point of celebrating. Yeah, I'm like, yay. It's around 30. I feel like for a lot of people, where you're like, yep. I am in fact a grown adult now, and it's you know, we all recognize that. Now let's move on. A compliment about my birthday. I got my second COVID shot on my birthday, which was the finest gift that I could possibly ask for. My gift from Uncle Sam. And you know what? That was pretty okay. I'm still recovering from it. That's why I'm so shitty today, and I apologize for that. Like, my muscles are all super tight. Shoulders hurt. My fingers hurt. And I'm just here painting anyway. Because I don't know what's good for me. Happy Inoculation Day. Yeah, that's something we can celebrate, right, Amishtig? Happy 2 weeks until a semi-return to humanity day. I went into, for the first time in forever that day also, I went into a Michael's art supply. I was very careful about social distancing. Like, I haven't done that at all since all this started. I've been incredibly isolated. But I needed to grab a tube of paint. So I went into a Michael's briefly and stayed away from everybody, and it was weird, like, even just being around as few people as were in there at the distance that I was like, wow, I really haven't done this in a while. How do I reintegrate with society? How do I rejoin the masses? I'm not sure I know how. Yeah, Jenny, that's where I am right now. Like, yesterday, I've been telling people it feels like I've got early onset rigor mortis. Because that really is how it feels. Like, all my joints have been so tight and stiff, and all my muscles, it's like every every tendon has tightened up and doesn't want to move, and so I spend a lot of time stretching, and I take hot showers, and oh, poor me, poor me. Yeah, Mellow Minis, and it's you know, we all still have to function. Some of us are more vulnerable than others, and it's definitely nice when people are more considerate of that, but, you know, being American and being inconsiderate name a more iconic duo. It is our God-given right to inconvenience and endanger one another, apparently. Yeah, I've been down on ibuprofen. Ibuprofen and Tylenol in tandem is what they actually recommended. Is my camera, like, does it look okay? Because every time I look over at it, my vision's a little blurry, and I think that's just me. It can be hard to tell, though. Who knows? Who knows what's just me and is everybody else? And if all the rampant anti-vaxxers are getting this, they're just, you know, enjoying their fucking conspiracy theories. I'm pretty sure I need to check my paperwork. I can't remember offhand. I'm pretty sure I got Pfizer. So, you know, to anybody out there who's getting Moderna, know that we will be on opposite sides of the inevitable lizard wars as we all transitioned into our true and glorious dino form to serve our reptilian overlords. That's obviously what's gonna happen. Hey, Jotun Wolfart, I haven't seen you in a good long time, Jotun Wolf. How are you doing, man? How are things? Can we get a shout out for Jotun Wolfart? Pretty please. And also one for Wandering. Did we get one for Wandering XP? I apologize today, guys. My brain is just... It was a pleasure being a friend. Sad to be a different dino. Yeah, you know... I'll tell you what, though. It's been good, POV. It's been nice having you around. But at the end of the day, I'll see you on the battlefield of the dark post-apocalyptic Lizard War future. Wait, do I have a button for that? I don't have a Lizard War button. Here, have this one. Hope my vaccine turns me into a mutant or a wizard. That is quite a broad range that you're hoping for, Mellow Minis. Like, you would think you might nail that, or you know, narrow that down within a certain realm of likelihood. Well, yeah, maybe it'll make me a lizard, you know, maybe a reptile, maybe an amphibian, but you're like, no, I want it to make me a mutant or a wizard. Okay. How about a lizard wizard? Oh shit, now we're talking. Now we're really scraping the bottom of the fucking barrel. Actually watched Warjacks for the first time last night. Took a bit to realize that Achilles was Ambassador Soval from Enterprise. Yeah, that's Gary Graham. Good old Gary Graham. He's great in Warjacks. He has like one of the rapiest hero moments that I can remember from. Well, no, I was about to say from that era of film, but then I realized that's absurd, and they were much worse in contemporary movies. But when he like rescues Athena from the beat up robot, and he goes in and he's like, "Hey, you're unconscious, and the last time you saw me, you attacked me, and we have no real romantic connection whatsoever. But while you're unconscious now, I'm going to kiss you." It's like, wow, that's an interesting tone to set there. But that movie in general, like, the human characters are very misogynistic. Very misogynistic. The story does not treat women well at all. But it is a story about men climbing into big robots to punch one another into unconsciousness. So, you know, what are you gonna do? You watch it for the stop-motion animation parts, not the Gary Graham forcing kisses on unconscious women parts. Not terribly late, White Wolf. I would guess I've got at least another hour of painting in me before we go to the storm report, but I wouldn't bet on anything past that. I'm feeling pretty rough today. I want to have put some paint down, is all. Watched King Kong vs. Godzilla. What'd you think? It's a hard movie for me. Like, it's very difficult for me to look at Hong Kong vs. Godzilla and go, this is a shitty movie and everybody who likes it is real stupid, which, as you know, is what I say about a lot of movies. Because it's just so fucking brain dead as a film. When you objectively critique a movie like Godzilla vs. King Kong, you have to stop and ask yourself, all right, before I go any further, what was the movie trying to do? Like, what was the goal here? Because the goal of Godzilla vs. King Kong is not the same as the goal of, say, Marriage Story with you know, Scourge and Kylo Ren. It's a very different film. And ultimately, it's a movie called Godzilla vs. Kong, and it's like, well, you know, if the big monkey fights the big lizard, then technically they've accomplished some part of their goal. You could argue further that their goal is to make that entertaining. Okay, alright, fine, I can evaluate it on these merits. And for the part where big monkey and big lizard are socking each other in the goddamn jaw repeatedly, it's very entertaining. The special effects are really, really well done. My problem with the movie is that it's 2 hours long. And in that 2 hours, there's maybe 15 to 20 minutes that are worth watching. And then there's a whole lot of stuff that's like, oh no, why is this happening? Oh no. So my recommendation for watching that movie is to fast forward until you hear Godzilla roar, and then watch the movie until Godzilla leaves. And then fast forward again, or look away, you know, check your phone. Catch up on your Instagram, whatever you gotta do. Just don't watch Alexander Skarsgård embarrass himself. Which I'm sure he's fine with it. He cashed a big old check. Like, he's whatever. They paid me, I don't give a shit. He and his brothers are mopping up like Disney money, Warner Brothers money. If there's money, the Skarsgårds are out there making it right now. It doesn't feel like it. Maybe my biggest critical issue with Godzilla vs. Kong is that it doesn't feel like it is in any way connected to any of the previous films that it claims to be in the sequence of. No connection, like whatsoever. How are you liking the Warcaster minis? Pretty good quality. Jotun Wolf, okay, so they're metal minis. So let me address that first. They're metal miniatures for the most part. They're moving somewhat to resin. I can give an example. There is the heavy Warjack for the Eternus Continuum, which I was very concerned about when I got the Warjacks and saw they were all metal. I was like, oh god, if this is all metal, what am I gonna do? It's not. The body, like the biggest chunk of it, from here to here, is all resin. And then the rest of the little pieces that attach to it are metal. So I was like, whew, okay. Okay. And now it looks like they're moving in this direction and doing as many of the large, cumbersome parts in resin as they possibly can, and then other parts in metal. Also, this Nemesis is one of the coolest goddamn models ever. I love the designs of Warcaster. It has a very unique aesthetic that takes everything I liked about War Machine and sort of fixes the things I didn't like about it. It's very unique, and I appreciate that. All in all, I love the minis. I'm having a lot of fun painting them. I think the style is really, really cool, and I'm looking forward to see what they release next. As someone who generally shies away from and dislikes metal minis, I have been very impressed with the quality of them. Yeah, that would be nice, wouldn't it? Nice if there was some explanation as to why. So, Mellow Minis, this Kong is the same size as the one in Skull Island. He didn't get any bigger, as far as I've been able to tell. Part of it is that Kong got bigger than he did in any previous incarnation. In Skull Island, he was larger than he's ever been. Also, Godzilla shrunk. There are a number of things that have happened to Kong and Godzilla to make them capable of fighting. There were several things they did to Kong, making him smarter, faster, larger are the most obvious changes they made. There's also one thing that they did in the storyline of Godzilla vs. Kong that just makes me scratch my head, because it's like, on the one hand, I want to applaud them. I want to be like, hey, good job embracing the utter fucking absurdity of the premise that you're making a movie about. But on the other hand, they have been eschewing the absurdity of the premise through all of the previous films and trying to get us to take them seriously by being all gritty and realistic. And for them to embrace that absurdity now to the degree that they have is jarring. Like, the technological leap that happened since the last movie is astonishing for humanity, to the point that it's a little hard to stomach. And, I mean, you can always make the argument, well, it doesn't really matter. I mean, yeah, it doesn't really matter, but I like it. I like plausibility and continuity between my movies that are supposed to be sequels. And, I mean, maybe I'm just a big fucking fuddy-duddy. I mean, it's possible, you know, I could be. I'll let you guys make that decision for yourself. I don't want to spoil the movie. I don't, like, I'm not that big of an asshole. I don't want to spoil everything about it. There's some things I don't consider spoilers because they're, like, in the first scene of the movie. And if you didn't figure them out, then you're just a fucking idiot. But there are some things in the movie I think are very silly, and I would like to talk about them, but they are technically spoilers, and you didn't necessarily see them coming. The thing is, you don't see them coming because they're fucking silly. Like, really, really ridiculous? I don't know. Roland is risen. Good to see you. Did they, Mellow Minis? Did they say that Kong grew again? I completely missed that. There were so many things that should have happened that just didn't in relation to Kong that... They were able to monitor his growth, but they couldn't tell that the little girl was teaching him sign language. Like, the confusing thing about that, because it's not like I'm saying, I'm not trying to say like, oh my god, this is a huge plot hole. My problem with it is that it is a huge plot hole, but the real problem is that it didn't need to exist. Does that make sense? It's an own goal. It's like, you didn't have to do that. You invented this plot point from just wove it together out of nothingness, and you made it a secret so it could be a reveal, but the fact that it's a reveal doesn't make any sense, and you should have just been like, this is a thing that happened, and I'd be like, oh, okay, cool. But they made it a reveal that didn't make any sense, and made I'm not explaining it well. My brain isn't working very well today, but I hope you understand what I mean. The Paint House, a French new painter, doesn't speak English very well. I wanted to follow you when I seen your work. Thanks for your work. Hey, The Paint House. I don't speak any French. I do not speak any French. I would love to meet you halfway there, but I am unfortunately... I mean, if you speak Arabic, we might be able to make something work there. But welcome. Welcome in. I hope that you enjoy what you see. I'm very glad that you have enjoyed my painting on other platforms, and I hope everybody makes you feel very welcome here. Gravity engines, yeah, and I liked how Alexander Skarsgård, like, didn't have a character. In the sense that when we introduce him in the beginning of the movie, he's basically Peter Venkman in the beginning of Ghostbusters, where he's like, I wrote a crazy book, and nobody believes me, and then they sealed me off in the basement of this college, and I've been discredited because of this wacky book that I wrote about this wacky thing that's also a very, very verifiable scientific concept that we knew about earlier in a previous film. So literally nothing about his setup makes any sense, and then on top of it, like, he switches to military action man at a certain point, and he's flying gravity ships, and he's ordering missile attacks, and I don't know why they bothered trying to characterize him at all at this point. I feel like right now his brothers are actively making fun of him for being in this movie, and he's probably responding by waving his check in the air in front of them. So you're saying the tech jump is about as believable as going from walking tanks with the capabilities of battle mechs to walking tanks with the capabilities of Gundam in under 50 years. That's very specific, but probably not inaccurate. His dad is getting the mouse money. Yeah, that's the truth right there. The Skarsgård family is cleaning up. He's like, fuck you, Dad. I got paid. I'm sure he did. Here's the funny thing. So I watched Battleship yesterday. And I didn't watch that movie when it came out. I think the reason that I didn't watch it is probably self-evident. Because it's a movie called Battleship that apparently is a tie-in with a Milton Bradley board game. And I would describe Battleship as not as stupid as you think it is. Like, I actually enjoyed watching it. It's stupid. It's real stupid. It is not as stupid as you think it is. It's like if Michael Bay was capable of directing a movie without putting in a super offensive racist caricature and, like, a joke about somebody's mom farting in their face every 10 minutes. Which obviously he isn't. But the action was very Michael Bay-esque, with the exception of you could actually follow what was going on at any given time. The special effects were not absolute CGI vomit in your face bad. They were a little overcomplicated at times, but you know you could follow what was supposed to be happening, which unfortunately that's where our standards have dropped to in the last 20 years. But I mention this because Alexander Skarsgård is also in that movie in like the first 10 minutes of it. He's military commander action man, and he gets blown up to prove how serious the situation is, so... Taylor Kitsch, I feel like, is the other actor's name? I can't remember. I can barely even see his face. But then he steps in and he's like the military commander guy. But I mention this because Alexander Skarsgård's performance in Battleship is better than his performance in Godzilla vs. Kong. And I'm watching Battleship. Yeah, I laughed at that line too, Crossbow Roof. Were those... I assume those were actual... I haven't looked it up. I'm sure it's online. I assume that those were actual Navy vets. I assume that those were actual Navy veterans that they brought in to man the battleship... Missouri? Mississippi? What was it? I can't remember now. It was an M word. But to man that battleship to then go fight the aliens, they were like, yeah, the Missouri, thank you. They were like, nobody knows how to run this ship. It has a steam-fired engine, and the guns don't use radar tracking, and what do we do? And there's like a bunch of veterans who I guess have just been like living in the closets on the ship while all this is... I don't know what they were doing there. They were like lurking on the rigging and stuff. And then they all come out in a line and they're like, oh, shake your hand, Commander. We're gonna go into war against the aliens. And they're shit actors, which is why I assume they had to be real veterans. Because they were terrible. Okay, see, that makes it work, though, Datron Voltari, because I didn't need good acting out of those guys. Those are real veterans, which, again, I assumed they were as I was watching the movie. I was like, well, this is a cool opportunity for them. They get to be the badasses who just flagrantly rip off the plot of Battlestar Galactica by being like, oh, they can't affect our older systems, we have to use the museum as a weapon. But that was fun. I had a good time. Ever seen this visor with bifocal magnifying glasses on one of your streams? Do you have any recommendations for those? I do. I use it periodically. I don't use it much on stream. I use it when I'm doing fine work, and honestly, I probably don't use it as much as I should. But I got this pair from Yakto-san, I think is what that says. Yakto-san? And it came with a whole series of these little binocular visors with different magnifications level. You can see it here. This is 2.0x that click in right there, and it's got a little LED light that you can angle. You got multiple little points you can angle it from. It fits on over your glasses. It has a little micro USB plug-in over here for a rechargeable battery port. This is great. I think it cost me like $16. This is fantastic. Gus Schultz, thank you so much for that reset. I'm sorry, you said hi earlier and I completely missed it. I apologize. My brain is not functioning today. I got my COVID shot 2 days ago and I'm still a little undead from that. A little zombified. Think you got your nephew infected with the painting bug? Well, the first half of that sentence was terrifying, but I like the second part. What you got him painting, Roland? But yeah, I liked Battleship. I didn't... So, I'm watching Battleship, and I'm like actively on the lookout for how does this movie tie in with a Milton Bradley board game where you stick pegs in ships and call out numbers and hope that you hit things. So I only found two things that tie in with the game at all. And, Roland, there is a book, I don't remember the name of the game, but there's a book, I want to say it's by Osprey Publishing, it might be by somebody else, with a war game that is designed to use plastic army men as your figures. I can't remember the name of it, I apologize, but I guarantee if you look for it, it exists, and you could paint plastic army men and then play an actual war game with them, and I think that's pretty badass. Yes, that's what I was going to get at, Datron Voltari. There's the scene when they can't find the aliens, so they're tracking weather buoys. And, the idea is like, okay, this weather buoy just went underwater, so fire cruise missiles at that grid square. So there's like a scene when serious actors are like, B-14, fire! Oh no, that's a miss, Commander! Oh, C-14, fire! Like, It's so stupid that it actually kind of works. Like, the characters are taking it so seriously that I kind of had to just go with it. That was a huge reach, but they found a way to make it into the game. Or into the movie. And then, yes, the aliens' primary attack mode, their primary weapon system, is a rack of these like charges that they fire. They go up and there's like 12 tubes and they go and they launch these charges that sail through the air. And the charges are these little cylinders, right? And then on the end of the cylinder they have like a long spiky thing with a blunt tip on it. And they sail through the air and they jam into the enemy ship and they sit there for a second and then they go and they drill down and they explode. And you're like, oh no, I blew up the ship. And I saw them hit the ships like 3 times, and I realized all at once, I'm like, oh, those are the pegs. Those are the pegs. It's like they're firing battleship pegs. And the you know, the little pegs you stick in the ships, and they stick into the ship, and then the ship blows up. It's... I gotta be honest, I enjoyed it. That right there is definitely a just turn your brain off and watch it kind of movie. And that they go way out of their way to, like, I don't know if I want to use the word pander. They just are like, yeah, fuck yeah, military vets, because they have the old vets who man the battleship, and then they have this one veteran who's missing his legs and he's got a pair of prosthetics on, and he's talking the whole movie about how he's half a man and he'll never measure up again. And then at the end of the movie, he gets into a fist fight with an alien in a big power suit, and because he has metal legs, he's able to fight him. And it's again, it's very stupid. But I kinda liked it. Majin Who laughs. How you doing today, man? Steela, you should check it out. It's really, just put it on in the background while you're doing something else. I heard it described as, and I completely agree with this description, Battleship is not as stupid as you think it is. You think it's stupid, I know you do, and here's the thing, you're right, but it is not as stupid as you think it is. It's fun stupid, as opposed to, like, boring stupid. Boring stupid I have a problem with, and that's one of the other reasons that I bring up Battleship, because I was just talking about Godzilla versus Kong. Massive portions of Godzilla versus Kong are boring stupid. And I did not like that. There are parts of the movie where it's like, alright, I'm gonna check my phone for a while. And when I get to that point with a movie, I transition very quickly to why the fuck am I even watching this? I don't know how they made Godzilla vs. Kong 2 hours. I don't know how, if you're making a movie called Godzilla vs. Kong, you don't have somebody whose job is, they're paid just to be like, remember, this movie only needs to be about, like, maybe an hour and 20 minutes. If we go over the 90-minute mark, we have done something wrong, and we need to go back and look at what it was that we did. Oh my god, Kevin Kitsune, I can't tell you how much I agree with that. Skyline? Have you seen, what was the second one? Like, Return to Skyline? It had some stupid name, like, I don't think it was Return to Skyline, but it was something like that. It was pretty solid. It was better than the first one was. That's what they're going for and doing it well. It gets a chuckle. Yeah, exactly. Like, I think Battleship did exactly what it set out to do. And as a result, I enjoyed watching it. Will I ever watch it again? Probably not. Do I regret watching it the first time? Absolutely not. I would recommend people give it a watch if you're bored. If you find yourself thinking, I would like to enjoy this Michael Bay movie, but I'm offended by how stupid Michael Bay is, watch Battleship instead, because that's what you get. It's like Michael Bay if Michael Bay had any semblance of dignity at all. Yeah, Skyline's a funny movie, though. It's my understanding that Skyline, as a movie, got made by the special effects producers, the special effects studio that were working at the time on Battle LA, another movie that I actually like, Battle LA. I think Battle LA and Battleship are very comparable. They're not good movies. They're very stupid movies. But they deliver exactly what you're hoping they're going to deliver, and as a result are actually quite a lot of fun. But, there we go. Dabber Raccoon knows, use a plastic army man called VLC by Inner City Games Design. That might be the one. That might be the one. I know there's one that's, like, specifically designed for, if you got army men, we can stat them. Fun Stupid makes for some great movies, even though nobody would dare call them high art. Real Steel has a license. Somebody earlier today was telling me to watch Real Steel. I haven't yet. I haven't seen Real Steel, which might surprise you given how much I like robots. But I haven't. It looked like really, really dumb. Somebody told me that Hugh Jackman really kind of elevates the whole movie and it's got good action, so I'm like, I'll watch it. Okay, fine. Skyline, though, I always want to mention that one. Hamburg Tack, thank you so much for the reminder, by the way, and welcome in. Good to see you. Skyline was like, it was boring stupid up to a point, and then it does something that elevates it. And I'll tell you what that thing is. I'm watching Skyline, and it's boring. They're like, oh, we're in an apartment. Oh, there's an alien invasion. Oh, there's aliens outside, guys. Everybody be afraid. Oh, everything's spooky. And they try to bust out of the building. And I think it's Turk from Scrubs. The actor who plays Turk in Scrubs. They're trying to bust out of the building. And for the first time, they encounter one of the alien machines that they're fighting. That they're, trying to stay away from. We haven't seen what these machines are doing to people. It's just that they seem terrible, and everybody's screaming outside, and the news says, oh no, everything's gone wrong. And it reaches out with a tendril, and it grabs Turk by his skull, by the back of his head. And then something happens that, in a flash, transitioned the movie for me from painfully boring to kind of interesting. And that is that the machine rips out Turk's brain. It splits open his skull, and it sucks out his brain. And it's so out of nowhere. It's so gratuitous and sudden and bizarre. It pulls his brain out of his head, and then it, stuffs it into an orifice in its chest and consumes it, presumably. And I was like, what the fuck? Excuse me? It was you, and not you, Warjacks, sorry, the other one. It was Charles who was recommending Real Steel to me earlier, and I'm probably going to give it a watch based on that. But I was suddenly very interested in what was going on the screen. Once I knew that these aliens were ripping people's goddamn brains out of their heads and then dropping their body like so much wasted meat. And maybe that doesn't have the same effect on you as it did on me. Maybe that continues to bore you. But for me, at least, I was very intrigued by this. And, spoilers for a movie that has to be at least 10 years old now, but in Skyline, the movie actually ends with the main character getting his brain ripped out and stuffed into a robot that it then controls, and then he, takes control over. It's not really clear why he's able to do that, and it's a silly ending. Steela, yeah, get your day started. You're on a totally different schedule than I am. I appreciate it when you stop in at all. Have we gotten a shout-out for Steela Rebel, by the way? If we have not, we really, really should get a shout-out for Steela Rebel, a fantastic painter and a great streamer. Does a lot of oil paints. Definitely give her a follow if you get a chance. Check out one of her streams. If you are, in near the Pacific time zones, you're going to have a better chance of catching her because she is based in Asia. East Asia, that is. Okay, so then there's a sequel. Skylines looks terrible. Crossbow Roof. I saw the thing for it on Amazon Prime. They're like, oh, Skylines, the sequel to Beyond Skyline. That's the name of the second one, is Beyond Skyline. And I'm like, I've been looking forward to this. I actually like the ending of Beyond. I liked Beyond Skylines, the sequel to Skyline. It had more money in it, and they had, what's his name? Frank Grillo is in Beyond Skyline. And it's a completely different movie than Skyline. It's just a straight-up sci-fi schlock action movie starring Frank Grillo that happens to tag on to the end of Skyline. You can skip Skyline entirely. Don't even fucking watch it. And, yeah, Beyond Skyline was actually, pretty good. I had fun watching that one. A lot more fun than I had with the other one. Skylines, the sequel to Beyond Skyline, I found myself a while ago, I've asked a number of times, is that movie come out yet? When is that coming out? I'd like to watch that. It had a fun premise. They ended Beyond Skyline with the scene where they were like, and now we're gonna go to the aliens' home planet, we're gonna fuck them up. And I'm like, movies never do that. I'll watch this. Okay. I watched the trailer for Skylines, and it looks like the budget nose dove hard after Beyond Sky. 83% on Rotten Tomatoes? It looks so bad, though. How is that possible? Okay, you know what? If it's getting well reviewed, I'm gonna watch it, because I had just decided not to watch it based on the fact that the trailer for it looks really fucking terrible. And it doesn't have Frank Grillo. It has the girl who plays Raven in The 100. Hey, Darkheart, good to see you. Speaking of that campy, cheap action, been watching some of the old Kamen Rider series with some friends, and those have been surprisingly fun. I think I just heard Ghastly from someone that the writer-director team that did Shin Godzilla and is doing Shin Ultraman has now been signed on to do Shin Kamen Rider? Which is fucking exciting. Shin Godzilla is amazing, and I obviously can't speak to Shin Ultraman because it doesn't exist yet, but based on Shin Godzilla, I have high hopes. Series, not movie. Wait. Is there both a series and a movie, and they're based on the same thing, Crossbow Roof? Is that what you're telling me? Or is there another series called Skylines that is in no way based on the movie Skyline or Beyond Skyline, and it is good? Because that's a completely different story, and that would make more sense to me. Okay. Yeah, that's better. I was like, that doesn't make any sense. It's because he got exposed to the brainwashing lights multiple times and no one else they took. Okay, see, I knew there was a reason, Drakari, I just didn't remember what it was. I wish that they had continued on with that, with the good guy and the robot body, but I feel like they killed him fairly early on in Beyond Skyline. And then Frank Grillo took over, which I think everyone agrees is a good idea, because Frank Grillo's just, really entertaining. But obviously Frank Grillo was not going to come back for Skylines, because he is making them Disney dollars, or at least he was until they killed Crossbones. I'm still hoping that they'll retcon that somehow. Set in the same... Okay, I did not know that at all, Crossbow Roof, and I'd be very interested to know how the hell that happened if they made both a movie and a series, and the movie sucks, which, that makes sense, it looks like it sucks, and the series is apparently good? That's fucking strange. Has that ever happened before? Not that I know of. Bill Claxton! Thank you so much for the follow, man. Welcome to the stream. Welcome to the Storm Chasers. Alright, one more quick round on these, and then I'm going to get to highlighting the armor, not the armor, the undercarriage, the connective bits. Darkheart, I would say yes to that, but there's one unfortunate truth that we have to deal with. Dawn of War 2 sucks. That's probably harsh. Dawn of War 2 is a fine game. Dawn of War 2 would be an amazing game if Dawn of War 1 didn't exist to compare it to. But Dawn of War 1 is so much better than Dawn of War 2 that, yeah, the gameplay experience is not... It's only similar. Sort of superficially. But Dawn of War 1 is a much, 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 much better game. Like, holy shit, a much better game. And then Dawn of War 3 might as well not fucking exist. Because it's just like a what the fuck were you thinking kind of piece of shit. Like, how did you think this was gonna be a good follow-on to Dawn of War, you absolute morons kind of game? Dawn of War 3 is a tech demo. Yeah, that seems likely. Seems very likely. God, Dawn of War 1's so good. And yeah, we're gonna play some of that. Absolutely we are. Oh, if I had to list 3 complaints about Real Steel, it's that the underlying meta plot is by the numbers Disney scumbag redeemed by the power of child's love. I mean, yeah, that's fairly innocuous and inoffensive. There's a Ghost in the Machine subplot, doesn't need to be there, never goes beyond setting up a joke in the finale. That's unfortunate, because I actually like Ghost in the Machine and transhumanist style subplots, as long as they're well realized, which it doesn't sound like this is. And there's a gratuitous 15-minute scene that doesn't need to exist beyond setting up, see, he was redeemed after all. It sounds very by the numbers, but the thing I keep mentioning is that our standards have been lowered by recent events in the world and recent film releases to the point where now, if it's competent and entertaining, I'm much more forgiving of it than I used to be. Also, movies these days have to be evaluated under the standard of, I don't have to leave my house to watch it. I'm not going to the theater to see this. And that has made me much more forgiving of film's flaws than I used to be for the most part. Because if a movie is stupid and I have to drive to go see it and, like, you know, buy dinner and buy food at the place and put up with human beings being around me and crap like that, like, I'm gonna be angry if it's bad. And most of the time it is. But if it's like, I sit down, we're eating dinner, what do you want to watch? This new movie just came out. It's basically free, we pay for the subscription anyway, let's give it a watch. Okay, yeah, sure, let's check it out. And it's shit, I'm like, whatever. I got other shit to do. Sonic 2 is a thing. I've heard that people actually like the Sonic the Hedgehog movie. I started to watch it, and I quit, I think, before the intro was over. I couldn't do it. But I've heard positive mention of it, which is what got me to try it in the first place. Which seems crazy to me. Yeah, Crossbones got blowed up with his own bomb. Which was an odd choice for several reasons to me, because they made Crossbones blowing up part of an embassy into the impetus for Civil War, when, as I remember, the impetus for Civil War was like a school getting blown up and like a bunch of children dying, which to me has a lot more of an emotional impact than, some people in an office building got kind of blowed up because a terrorist was an asshole, as opposed to, the Avengers blew up some children because they weren't paying attention. That, and it also killed off Frank Grillo, which is, in my opinion, a major mistake. They should have brought him back. He's great.
When watching Thunderhead stream, you may feel the urge to do the cha-cha, because he likes to slide it to the left, and then slide it to the right, and then hold it off screen entirely.
Let's fix
Come
that.
on, Thunderhead, put it back on camera.
Speedball from New Warriors. I couldn't remember who it was specifically. I just remember that, in that original Civil War arc, it was someone whose power was basically blowing up. Blew up. So it's like, we probably shouldn't be fighting near schools, yeah. That's the thing, too, is Marvel has brought back so many characters in so many silly ways, particularly after the snap, the blip, whatever you want to call it, that it's like, guys, just wave your hands in the air and go, do the Disney thing. Somehow Palpatine has returned, right? Somehow Crossbones has returned. And then have him team up with, like, Batroc the Leaper, and give me what I want, is ultimately what my point here is. Quit doing what you want and start doing what I want, Disney. What's wrong with you? We get a Thunderbolt series. At this point, it really seems like they're building up to the Thunderbolts. I wasn't sure what... So Kevin Kitsune, like, it was an office building, but it was like the Wakandan embassy or something. Because you remember it was like a big deal for Wakanda, which is what got King T'Challa into the UN where he got blowed up, and then Prince Prince Chimichanga then took up the mantle of Black Panther in a movie that was not his own. Not racist, Roland, just stupid. There's a difference. T'Challa, I genuinely couldn't remember his name, I'm sorry. I remember Chadwick Boseman's name because he's a great actor. Was a great actor. Oh, shit. Oh, that made me sad all over again. I'm really, really sad that we lost Chadwick Boseman. I found him to be, weirdly, one of the best parts of Civil War. His whole, when he captures Zemo at the end and he stops him from shooting himself, his line there was so badass. The living are not done with you yet. I was like, ooh, that's fucking hardcore, dude. And I love, like the arc, the real character arc was his, you know, he went from angry and seeking vengeance to, more calm and seeking justice. Seeing how the Avengers were ripped apart by their own need for vengeance and anger. That was really, really a cool part of the movie. But, you know, mentioning Civil War, I have to bring up, I think everybody, it's got kind of spoilers for Falcon and the Winter Soldier, so I apologize if this is a spoiler. If you care that much, maybe switch away, but I don't feel like it really is one. Baron Zemo is in Falcon and the Winter Soldier. And I think that should be pretty well known because it's in, like, all the promotional materials. They show him pulling on his mask. He is different than he was in Civil War. I cannot help but notice it. Now, I'm not saying this is necessarily a bad thing. It's just that his character in Civil War didn't have much to do with his comic book persona. He was just like some guy, lost his family, was really, really badass at, like, social engineering and manipulation, and he set up the Avengers to fight one another, and then he tried to kill himself, and Black Panther stops him. And in Falcon and the Winter Soldier, they go full on, like, he you know, has a private plane, and they're like, whoa, nothing about you ever seemed like you were rich, and he's like, please, I am a baron, I was nobility before you destroyed my country, and I'm like, that doesn't seem to have anything to do with anything. Like, I don't remember that being a thing. They changed his attitudes, they changed the way that he carries himself, they just made him from random guy named Zemo into Baron Zemo, and it seems like a retcon to me. I don't have a problem with it because I really like what they're doing. He's, charming. I really like what they're doing with Zemo in that. Boomy Boom Boy, thank you so much for saying so, man. Yeah, I'm working on it. Working from the inside out. But, that actor, whose name I should probably know, if anybody knows the actor of the guy playing Baron Helmut Zemo, you can go ahead and let me know, and I'll try to remember it. He is doing a fantastic job. He's great. Daniel Brühl. Thank you very much, Roland. Yeah, he's cool. He's real cool. And the interactions between him and Bucky are great fun. Falcon and Winter Soldier in general seems to just be like having more fun with itself, and I thoroughly approve. But that's all the spoils that I will talk for Falcon and Winter Soldier, because so far it's actually a good show. It's only 6 episodes long, which means that it actually moves along at a pretty good clip. Like, things happen every single episode, scenes move along, characters get their proper development without wasting a lot of screen time. I think that they should embrace more of this particular length of show, because when they're like, we have 13 episodes, it seems like the Marvel shows drag themselves out forever and ever and ever and ever and ever. They just go on and on and on. Don't get me wrong, I like Daredevil, but each season had at least 3 episodes that didn't need to fucking happen. And same thing went for, I think Punisher was maybe the tightest of the stories, like the Punisher series. And even it had some episodes that were like, why is this here? All of their series seemed to go on about 4 episodes too long. Like, the material was good, but the material ran thin, you know? But this new 6-episode format, I am down for. I think that even WandaVision ran a little bit long. I like where WandaVision ended up overall, minus a few tiny complaints. But it was probably 2 episodes too long. There were at least 2 episodes in there that were just treading water, and I hate it. I hate that. Well, to say I hate that might be strong. Hate is such a strong word. That's kind of why I only apply it to things like film and television, is because it doesn't really matter. It annoys me. That's an accurate statement. I am annoyed by shows that drag on much longer than they need to. They go past the limits of their own material and are extended just because, well, this is how many episodes we got, so, you know, make another one. But yeah, Daniel Bruhl is fucking killing it. Kind of ship Agatha and Zemo now. Oh, that's an interesting pair. This is a very interesting pair. Are the Netflix shows on Disney, or are they not canon? I think they're all. I think those are all canon. I don't know. I haven't gone back to try to watch them yet. Evil Bruce Wayne. He kind of is Mikey Mike. I think that I hadn't thought of that before, but in a way, Zemo is more Bruce Wayne than fucking Ben Affleck is. I apologize if we have any Snyder fans in the chat. I'm gonna talk some shit about Zack Snyder just because I always do. I don't like anything that he's done. I like Dawn of the Dead 2005, and then it's just like that was it. He peaked right out of the gate. Oh, Lore Friendly. Hey, nerds. Bunch of nerds. What's up, Lore Friendly? Welcome in. Thank you so much for the resub, man. I really appreciate that. And they said Madripoor start. Yeah, the Madripoor storyline. See, that's an interesting one to work in, because it's like once they've done it in Falcon and the Winter Soldier, they can start involving Madripoor storylines for all the other characters. That's world building, ladies and gentlemen. How does that claw look? Does it look dangerous? Today's priming session turned into a base coating session. Some Stymel dried inside the... Oh, no, that sucks, Lore Friendly. I'm sorry to hear that. Well, that's the thing, though, Datron Voltari. It's hard to say that anything that's going to appear in Spider-Man No Way Home is going to be canon, because it's going to be delving into the multiverse with other, even Spider-Man characters. Like, we're going to have Alfred Molina returning as Doc Ock, which I'm very excited about. But it also means that they can, at the end of the movie, wave their hands in the air and go, and none of this has any effect on literally any other Marvel property, and we're just going to have to eat that shit sandwich. Like Snyder's Watchmen, hadn't read the book, nor seen the director's cut. Yes, Drakari, that is absolutely accurate. I can see how you would like it if you weren't familiar with any of the source material. I was a fan of the original Watchmen graphic novel, and as a result, Snyder's Watchmen made me angry. It both misunderstands and misrepresents some of the points that it draws from the book, and then it changes other ones without understanding them. Because Zack Snyder, where you and I have brain matter, he just has kind of like a like a lump of hamburger that's been rolled in protein powder. Zack Snyder should be a cinematographer. He's an okay director, but he needs to be like lead of photography and cinematography. He does not need to be a fucking writer of anything. Unfortunately, we're never going to get away from this crap now. After the Snyder Cut released, his fans are going to be insufferable about demanding every little thing they want. See, ladies and gentlemen, this is why we don't give in to terrorists. V2 kicked the bucket again. No, it's running. It's running, I'm just not running it at the moment. It's been having some problems with ironing, and I don't know if it's my settings on it, if it's my calibration, or if it is an issue with under extrusion. I need to troubleshoot it a bit. It prints just fine, its ironing is leaves a little something to be desired. So I need to work that out. The V2 has been the source of so many problems, I swear. Oh, I love Starship Troopers. Now, okay. There's a difference, Datron Voltari, because yes, Starship Troopers... I don't think that Starship Troopers misrepresents the book at all. And I say this as a Robert Heinlein fan. I've read almost everything that Robert Heinlein has written, including things like... and now I can't remember the name of the book. The really fucking bad one where he was like, I'm gonna show these racists what fur, and he wrote a storyline about white people traveling to the future and being slaves of black people. Like, it was a terrible book. Time Enough for Love? No, that wasn't that one. Was it? I don't remember. But I love Heinlein. I'm a big fan of Stranger in a Strange Land and Starship Troopers, which is funny because they were written at very different times of his life. And you can really tell. But... yes, Snyder was the one who screwed up Man of Steel. That's absolutely true. I don't think it misrepresents the book, and I want to tell you why. It doesn't try to represent the book at all. Paul Verhoeven did not try in any way, shape, or form to represent the book in any way. Aside from the general plot outline and the names of some characters. Everything else is completely different, and it's different on purpose. And I think that it's important to understand who Paul Verhoeven is to understand why he did this. Because Paul Verhoeven is a Holocaust survivor. In the sense that he was very nearby several of the camps while this was going on. He also lived close to a German airbase, where most of his trauma during World War II originates from, in that he was personally witness. Hey, Wandering XP, good to see you. How you doing, Lady B Miniatures? Good to have you in. Paul Verhoeven saw Starship Troopers as jingoistic fascism light, and he saw it that way because of his own experiences with fascism. And I don't think that he's wrong. And I don't think that he's wrong because as much as I love Robert Heinlein's writing, Robert Heinlein was career boot. He never served in the military during a time of war. He served as, I believe, a radio technician and specialist on a ship. And was never active during wartime. But during his time in the military, he filled his head with a lot of funny ideas about how great the military was. And it's really easy to do that when you don't have to actually sacrifice anything yourself. And so then he wrote a book basically saying, wouldn't it be great if we all just obeyed the veterans? Which is a terrible fucking idea. It's a terrible fucking idea. But it's an interesting book by itself. I'm not saying that Robert Heinlein was a fascist, and I'm especially not saying that because if you read Stranger in a Strange Land, you'll understand that his own opinions on a lot of social concepts changed over the course of his life as he had more exposure to different groups of people. But at the time that he wrote Starship Troopers, he was toying with the idea of, maybe fascism is okay. And he didn't have the examples that we now have to say, no, it definitely fucking isn't. And Paul Verhoeven, as he will note in several of his interviews, grew up in the kind of place where he would go out, it could just be a normal day in his world, and Allied bombers might come overhead trying to bomb the nearby German airbase, and they would miss with a few bombs, and he'd come outside his house, and there would be, oh, look, a human being struck by ordnance that was not meant for them, and they are splattered from over there about 30 feet to the other side of the street. Oh, look, that's a severed human head with the facial expression still on it. Oh, I knew that person, and there's their guts. He went through some shit. And he felt very strongly about fascism and nationalism as a result. And I think that you could probably understand why he felt that. I would argue that point, Datron. See, what you're getting into is a more nuanced discussion of Starship Troopers that Verhoeven himself would not be willing to have. He has a much more hardline stance on it, and I think that knowing where he came from explains that hardline stance. Why he looked at the book and went, oh, this is bullshit, and threw it out the fucking window. Because he's not willing to entertain that conversation, and I could not possibly blame him. This is the other reason that you wind up with Paul Verhoeven movies having shocking violence in them. Shocking violence between RoboCop and Starship Troopers. Very realistic violence, the kind of violence that makes you a little uncomfortable to look at. Because he liked to present it in the form of like, oh, you want violence? Oh, you want a violent movie? Oh, you want a movie with people getting blown up? Well, I'm gonna show you what it looks like, you sick weirdo. Like, that was his attitude towards it. And he did a really good job at it, while satirizing almost everything that he came across. So I think that simply saying that the movie Starship Troopers is a misrepresentation of the book drastically undersells the actual artistic dynamic that occurred from one author to another. I'd buy that for $1. And each of them, and I'm not going to say, well, the movie's better. No. Well, the book is better. No. The book and the movie are two completely different things. And each of them kind of needs to be consumed by itself. And knowing who the author was and where they were at that point in their life. Because again, even Robert Heinlein, I don't think would have agreed with what he wrote in Starship Troopers by the time he got around to writing Stranger in a Strange Land. It's a very, very different story. I love Paul Verhoeven. Anything Paul Verhoeven did, I'm pretty much into. Except maybe Showgirls. I'm not a big fan of Showgirls. He directed that? I'm pretty sure he directed that. That was a weird one. Just wish they hadn't used the same character names. That's fairly superficial, Ghastly. Like, I understand that, but it's a superficial detail. Because Verhoeven didn't give a shit about the characters in Starship Troopers, like, at all. Again, same thing, Roland. Like, he didn't care. He did not give a shit who Johnny Rico was, because in his story, Johnny Rico, it's a unique case where someone like Casper Van Dien can actually play the role, because Johnny Rico in the movie is supposed to be like a terrible person. Like just a vapid, empty-headed, pretty Melrose Place-esque piece of meat that is going to get thrown into a grinder for the sake of furthering the violent nationalist agenda. And I think it's really, really funny that that they come together at the end of the movie with their little lock arms and, hey, I guess we will always be friends, because it's like the worst people in the movie survive the movie. Just the worst. Everyone else dies. All the real characters die. Dizzy Flores is dead. Xander, the pilot dude, he's dead. Horribly, because brains sucked out. And the people who survive are the most vapid, empty-headed, now hollowed out and turned into a war machine characters in the story. Like, there's nothing left of Johnny Rico from the beginning of the movie in Johnny Rico at the end of the movie. He has one moment of reflection in the movie when Ratsek in the beginning, when Michael Ironside, best performance in the movie, by the way, when Michael Ironside asks him about the difference between I'll have that conversation with you, Roland. You say he's grown up. I think it's something very different that's happened to him. But when Ratsek, as his teacher, Lady B, thank you so much for the reminder, is asking him, what is the difference, if any, between a citizen and a civilian? And Johnny Rico says something to the effect of, a citizen takes direct responsibility for the safety of the body politic, protecting it with his life. A civilian does not. And Ratsek says the exact words of the text. But do you understand it? Do you believe it? I'm counting that as 2, Lady B. Thank you for the reminder. And Johnny Rico, in maybe the only moment of real human reflection in the whole movie, says, I don't know. And then, boom, we're on to the football game, and it's back to war, violence, gotta get ahead. And that's his life. From that point on, it's moving forward, it's being violent, it's seeking the approval of your betters who are also indoctrinated into this culture of violence. There's no room for question. And by the end of the movie, all that the questions are gone. There is no question for Johnny Rico. His friends have been murdered in front of him. He has seen endless violence, and he believes the violence is the only possible way forward. He just wants to kill. And then you get that in that little flash when he's, come on, you apes, you want to live forever? He's become the monster Ratsek. Like, every adult in the movie is horribly maimed and wounded. Except his father, who, of course, was a civilian. I love that movie. I really do. It happens sometimes, Lady B. I'm sorry. Alright, let me get a little bit of blue highlighting done. I think I got about another half hour in me, and then we're gonna go to the storm report. That's what I'm feeling, because I'm feeling pretty worn down. But I think that he's grown up, okay, in air quotes, Roland, but I mean, like, he has grown into what they wanted him to be at that point. He has been erased and replaced with a copy of every other good little fascist troop. It's one of my favorite moments in the movie, that last part when Doogie Howser walks up to the brain bug and he puts his hand on the brain bug's big bulging brain sac. And he's listening. And this is the moment, you guys, this is the first moment that humanity has made communicative psychic contact with the alien consciousness that we have been at war with. This is a huge moment. This is the chance we can find out what they want. We can tell them what we want. We could sort this out. Doogie Howser says, "It's afraid. It's afraid," and the fucking space rednecks surrounding him start firing their weapons in the air like fucking orcs, hooting and hollering. Because it's afraid. Of course it's afraid. Of course it's afraid. Who wouldn't be afraid? It's terrifying, the situation that it's in. And what we take away from that moment of communication is we have instilled fear in our enemy. And you know in that moment, like, oh, this war's never gonna end. This is just how it is now. And I think that's what a lot of people didn't get. I think it's more understood now. I think that film culture in general has evolved since the 90s, but a lot of people didn't get about Paul Verhoeven's work is that he is absolutely, just because Paul Verhoeven never looks into the camera and winks at you, doesn't mean he's not being satirical. Everything he does is being satirical on some level. He just plays it perfectly straight. And again, I think that confuses some people. You wind up with people cheering along with Johnny Rico and the Marines, and it's like, if the director had his way, you would be kind of terrified by these final scenes. When it rolls back into propaganda, talking about how we have the weapons, we have the ships, what we need are soldiers, and the word "you" goes up into the stream. It's horrifying. Oh my God, Caroline? I'm gonna go with Carolyn. How you doing? Thank you so much for the follow. Welcome to the stream. Welcome to the Storm Chasers. Welcome to me just sort of ranting about Paul Verhoeven movies. I don't know how it started, but I'm recovering from my second COVID shot right now, so I'm not entirely together in the brain or body department. I just like talking about movies. It's at that point I realized we were the monsters in the movie. Yeah, I felt bad for the brain bug. I was like, Jesus, this poor dude. We don't... And that's the brilliant thing, is it's not like Paul Verhoeven takes you aside and goes, and okay, so you understand what I'm saying. Here's the perspective of the bugs and how scared they are. He doesn't give us the perspective of the bugs at all. We just have to make certain assumptions based on the fact that they are other sentient living beings. We have to inject some of our own humanity into the story. I think he really hoped that we would, and he was probably disappointed that many of us did not. I love that movie. I love Paul Verhoeven's work in general. I love Total Recall. Started with Snyder and Battleship, I think. Yeah, that seems very possible. Lady B Miniatures, are you not familiar with the Storm Report? We do it every stream, at the end of the stream. It's an art share segment. You can post anything that you want, anything creative or that you'd like to share with us in the Storm Report, and we're going to take a look at it at the end of every stream at this point. It's really easy to participate in if you feel like posting some minis or something, Lady B. All you gotta do is jump over into the Thunderhead Studio Discord, go to the channel marked The Storm Report, do give the rules a quick read, there are a couple of them, and then post some pictures, and we'll take a look at them right here on the stream and talk about them a little bit. I think the best movies are the movies that leave you not with an answer, but with a question. Not by asking the question on screen, but by presenting you with scenarios that make you ask that question of yourself. One of my favorite films on the planet Earth is the original Blade Runner. And I love that movie because it leaves you with a question. It leaves you with the question, not just, is Rick Deckard a human being? It leaves you with the question, what is a person? It leaves you with the question of what's the difference? Like, really, what is the substantive difference between Roy Batty and a human being? What is the substantive difference between Rick Deckard and a human being if he is a replicant at all? I think that Starship Troopers should leave you with a bit of a question. I think it should leave you with the question of, wait, I've been cheering this all along. And you have to understand, too, that's part of the purpose of Starship Troopers. It's to kind of rile you up. And to get you going, yeah, fuck the bugs. Yeah, I'm from Buenos Aires and I say kill them all. Yeah, Johnny Rico, yeah. And then when you get to the end of the movie and Doogie Howser walks out in his full SS regalia, you should have a moment where you go, whoa, wait, what? And you should leave that movie with the question of, were we the good guys there? Kinda doesn't seem like it. Kinda seems like maybe we were the assholes. They literally don't tell us how the war started. We have no way of knowing if we were in the right by any stretch of the imagination. Yeah, are we the baddies? Yeah, our hats have skulls on them. Oh, you're just listening to that Allied propaganda. I mean, yeah, okay, fair enough, but they don't design our uniforms, Hans. That is one of the best skits that Mitchell and Webb ever did. By the way, Wandering XP, how are you doing today, man? We got an active chat. I apologize if I haven't had the chance to respond to everybody. I usually like to. I hope you're having a good day, Wandering XP. And there is a man who, if you're not following, you really should. He's not going to be streaming for a little while. He's got some issues to work out with his visa. Being based over in the UK, but he's going to be back to streaming before long, and I'm telling you, you're going to want to have a follow on that channel when he comes back. And that's fair in a very superficial way, Roland. And I'm not saying that like a bad thing. I'm not saying like, oh, well, you're just dumb. You're only looking at it superficially. No, in a very superficial way, that is correct. But I don't feel like that's ultimately the message of the story. Raised of Wolves, thank you so much for the follow, and welcome to the stream. Welcome to the Storm Chasers. I would also note that Paul Verhoeven left out some details that were in the book, such as the war against the skinnies, which was actually kind of more appalling. The book also made the bugs out to be even more intelligent than they were in the movie. In the movie, he intentionally painted the bugs as fairly savage and feral, from the perspective of the average grunt, but then showed us making no effort whatsoever to learn about them. The only scientific efforts expended on the bugs were expended learning how to kill them more efficiently, and he demonstrated that a few times. In the book, it was arguably worse, because we were already engaged in a war against perfectly sentient beings and really just hammering them bad. And the bugs, like, used tools? Like, they were obviously more intelligent than just savage monsters. There were bugs in the book that had guns. But again, I would note that I'm not sitting here trying to say that the book is bad and the movie is good, and only one interpretation is correct. My point really is just... Ultimately, my point that I got into Starship Troopers for had to do with Watchmen being done by Zack Snyder, and the fact that Zack Snyder, I think, was too goddamn stupid to understand Watchmen, which sounds harsh, and it probably is, but I believe it. And, therefore, it is a misrepresentation of Watchmen. Whereas Paul Verhoeven was a writer and an artist with his own message, and so he doesn't misrepresent Starship Troopers, he just does something completely different. Doing YouTube in the meantime, that's right, definitely check out Wandering XP's YouTube channel. Guy does amazing videos. Yeah, Trotsky, yeah, that was... In fact, the book opens on Cap Troopers dropping into a skinny city, and, like, I remember one scene where he, like, uses a laser to cut through a wall, and he surprises a bunch of skinnies who are, like, military personnel surrounding a battle map, and they're, like, caught off guard, and he's like, oh, look, I surprised you, have a nuke! Like, yeah, in many ways, it makes it much, much worse when you read the particulars of the book. The book, the Warrior and Worker bugs were shown to be organic drones, but the brain bugs were fully sentient but unknown. Yeah, I remember, like, the worker bugs. There's a scene when Johnny Rico drops through the ground into a tunnel, and he's surrounded by bugs, and he panics and just starts ripping them to pieces with the suits, with the, you know, his Marauder armor's bare hands. And then, like, a minute later, he realizes none of them are fighting back or even reacting to him, and they're just worker drones, and they're not even capable of recognizing him. And he sort of calms down. It's a good book. I encourage people to consume both forms of media. If you like either version of Starship Troopers, I encourage you to consume the other version of Starship Troopers with an open mind. Because I don't think Heinlein was, like, a Nazi. I think Heinlein was sheltered from the truth of the ideologies that seemed to him superficially appealing. And I think that as his life went on, he changed his mind. And I think that this can be proven empirically by reading his books. The one thing that Robert Heinlein never changed his mind on was how he viewed himself and how he would like to live out the rest of his life. Which I don't believe is how he did live out the rest of his life. But it was surrounded by young hot chicks who thought he was awesome. That was his preferred way to go out, I believe. And I only say this because he continuously wrote himself as self-inserts to many of his later books. And it was never more egregious than the character of Jubal Harshaw in Stranger in a Strange Land. And in that book, Jubal Harshaw, who was definitely a self-insert for Robert Heinlein, was a witty older fellow surrounded by a harem of hot young bitches who were also super competent, like Charlie's Angels style. And they thought he was funny and handsome and sexy, and they had like a polyamorous relationship with one another, and it was amazing. And they did his taxes for him, and they handled his daily planning, and they sat around in bikinis swimming in his pool. And that's what Robert Heinlein wanted, more than anything else, I think. He's the Tom Bombadil of Robert Heinlein's universe. Okay.
Welcome back to 50 Shades of Cold Gray. And as he pulled his stiff bristles out of my wet fluids, I yelled out, "No, Thunderhead! You need to thin that paint first!"
Jubal Harshaw was not involved necessarily in a sexual relationship with his girl crew in the beginning of the book. But then as the man from Mars broadened his horizons and the horizons of Jubal and his crew, they were absolutely all banging each other by the end of the book. I'm sorry. Growing closer, or grokking the fullness, if you will. Also, grok, one of the best words ever. Martian orgies abound. Well, grok is a great word because it means so many things. I feel like both of those books pose interesting philosophies, but don't present them as absolute truths. That's kind of why I say, Trotsky, that his mind changed as he got older. I think he kind of realized that he was saying some silly things when he was a young man. But again, he was a military man who did not serve in a time of war. He never had the opportunity to be a combat veteran, and so his ideas about being a combat veteran were necessarily skewed by a complete lack of experience. He had all the experience that he was able to get in his lifetime, but it was not real. Oh, damn it, Iberben. Well, young men say weird things, but not all young men get their words immortalized in print for whole generations to look back on and idolize. And Heinlein did. He wrote the book that got everybody all hot and bothered about power armor and drop suits and killing space bugs. He just happened to have some bits of fascism mixed in there. Arguably. arguably. I put forward that that may not be a totally fair assessment, but it's what Verhoeven saw, and when it comes to calling fascism as he sees it, I'm not about to question Paul Verhoeven. That man has seen far more of it than I have, and he has seen the results of it far more personally than I have, so I do not feel qualified to second-guess him. If he says it reminds him of Nazis, I tend to believe him. Yeah, he didn't. He read parts. He read parts of the book, Datron Voltari. He saw enough from his perspective to call it. And again, I'm not about to argue with that interpretation. Was it entirely fair? Probably not. But I think the art that we got as a result of it is a cultural touchstone that should be valued. It's fair enough, Datron Voltari, but the conversation isn't really about did Paul Verhoeven understand Starship Troopers? The question is, did he misrepresent Starship Troopers? And again, I propose that he did not, because he didn't try to represent the book at all. The inverse of this being Zack Snyder clearly read Watchmen, did not understand it, and then made a movie that wildly misrepresented the contents. Now, this is a semantic argument at this point, and thus probably not the strongest or even the most interesting. I fully accept that you have a point, Datron Voltari, and that what you're saying makes sense. I disagree with the particular verbiage is all. I think Paul Verhoeven himself would argue that he represented it very well because of what he believed about what it was selling. I don't necessarily think he's correct. Oh, he doesn't, John Brown. He absolutely does not. No, like, not even a little fucking bit. And I think that Zack Snyder... Tolton, welcome in, my friend. Thank you so much for the follow. Welcome to the stream, and welcome to the Storm Chasers. I don't think Zack Snyder understands much of anything. I think Zack Snyder's a fucking dumbass. I think that this can be proven empirically by taking a look at the things that he has adapted. The fact that he apparently read Frank Miller's The Dark Knight Returns, and from that he took Batman. Batman make robot suit. Batman fight Superman with robot suit. Like that was all that he took out of The Dark Knight Returns, and that's fucking crazy. That's not even remotely what The Dark Knight Returns was about. John Brown, thank you for the follow, man. Welcome in. Sucker Punch. I fucking hate that movie. That movie makes me so profoundly uncomfortable. Like, I'm watching it, and, like, the visuals are neat, and I want to enjoy them, but then I'm like, wait, this is all a metaphor for this woman being, like, raped and abused, right? And it's not like he had some moment in the movie where he comes back and examines that. He's just like, nope, then she gets lobotomized. And I'm like, what? What the fuck? the premise of Sucker Punch has room to actually be fairly meaningful, and Zack Snyder is just incapable of investing that meaning into anything that he does. That's fine, Trotsky. I'll never fault someone for liking a movie that I don't like, even if I'm like, I fucking hate that movie, and someone's like, well, I like it. I mean, that's fine. It's art, and as such, it is ultimately a subjective experience. I believe that there are points of objectivity that can be argued even in art, and I think anyone who spent any time doing it would accept that same truth. It's not entirely subjective, but enjoyment.
If you don't respect the cat, you're gonna get the bat.
Hey, Riot Sister coming in with the raid. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Riot Sister. What are you up to? Welcome in, Raiders. Yeah, the 4:3 aspect ratio bullshit. Here's the thing, too. People are claiming that the Snyder Cut is the original vision of the director, and I just want to say right now that bullshit. That is bullshit. Yeah, exactly, John Brown. Like, if you meant it to be in 4:3 aspect ratio, then why didn't you shoot it in that? We know that you didn't. We've seen cuts from before Whedon got a hold of it. That's bullshit. You made that up after the fact. Oh, I wanted it to be black and white. No, you didn't. Shut the hell up. I wanted Superman's suit to be black. Then why did you film with him in the blue and red suit, which you absolutely did before Whedon was even attached to the project? I thought for sure that a number of the worst jokes in the movie were Whedon additions, and then I watched the Snyder Cut, and it turns out, nope, that was what Zack Snyder wanted to do. And, I'm gonna say something that's gonna be unpopular. Are you ready, chat? Are you ready to hear what Thunderhead thinks that's probably going to be unpopular, even amongst you fine, intelligent folks? That wasn't no, Dabber Raccoon, he pulled that out of his ass. That had nothing to do with anything. In The Dark Knight Returns, Batman puts on a robot suit and he fights Superman. But he doesn't do it to beat Superman. And he does it to an alternate version of Superman that is a fascist nutjob. He does it to fake his own death publicly, so that it's believable, and also to humble Superman slightly. Like, he never intended to win. The whole thing was a Bruce Wayne plot. And I don't think that Snyder understood that, like, at all. It wasn't just, I'm angry and I want to fight. That's what he wanted Clark to believe, but it was never true. But yeah, I'll give you the hot take. I think the Whedon cut was better. Now. This has to be qualified. Because it's not better in every way. It's not better in every way. There are certain things that are better in the Snyder Cut. I think Cyborg having a story at all is good. I think I can see why Cyborg's story was cut, because it introduces a lot of problems, but Whedon did a lot of things right. He did a lot of things very wrong. There were moments in the Whedon cut that were better, though. And while the jokey Jokerson all the time was not good, there were lines in that movie that made more sense than made sense in the Snyder cut. I'll note the line where Aquaman is walking down to Trotsky. He ripped off Green Arrow's fucking arm to prevent him from being a superhero because he wouldn't subject himself to the whims of the United States government. That says to me that Superman's a fascist nutjob at this point. But that's an argument for another time. When Aquaman is walking down into the water where there's that awkward recut that Whedon does that I don't think was very good, he has a line where he says, you know, the strong man is strongest alone. It's a terrible line. It's a terrible line. In the Snyder cut, Batman says something like, well, yeah, but Superman wouldn't say that, and Superman died fighting alongside me, which is also a terrible fucking line. If you watch the Whedon cut, which I don't advise, and let me clarify something, I'm not saying the Whedon cut is a good movie. I'm not saying that. The Whedon cut is a terrible movie. Justice League is awful. I'm just saying that the Snyder cut also sucks. In different ways. But in the Whedon cut, Batman then has a line, instead of his little line about Superman, he goes, that's not the saying. In fact, that's the opposite of the saying. Which is a great line to save the writing that Snyder did, because that's not a saying. Nobody says that. Nobody says that strong men are strongest alone. There's no saying anywhere on Earth that strong men are strongest alone. That is the opposite of the sayings. And while it was probably inappropriate to have Batman say it in such a jokey, Whedon-esque way, that line made a lot more fucking sense. There was also a great moment when the Flash and Aquaman were digging up Superman's grave in the Whedon cut, where in the Snyder cut, the Flash says to Cyborg, he's like, why, we could do this in like a nanosecond. And Cyborg just kind of goes, yeah. And they keep digging. And this is like the extent of their interaction during the grave digging scene. And in the Whedon cut, it goes on a little bit longer, where Flash says, is it weird that, like, I know I could do this in a second, but it feels disrespectful? And I'm like, whoa, wow, that's like a much better line explaining the scene better, while still noting the same thing. And then he follows it up by saying, rather, Cyborg asks him, he says, oh, so you were struck by lightning, huh? And he goes, yeah, you were an explosion? He's like, yeah. And Flash goes, so I guess we're the accidents, huh? And kind of chuckles. I'm like, this is a better scene. Like, these are two characters actually connecting with one another. I'm sure there are more, but here's the thing. In order to further my hypothesis that the Whedon cut is better than people remember, I'd have to go back and watch the Whedon cut. And I'll just fully confess to you that I am not so devoted to this point that I'm willing to do that, because the Whedon cut is terrible. And I'll make one final point about the Snyder cut. My problem is Ezra Miller. Yeah, Ezra Miller is awful as Barry Allen. Just any line that he does is terrible. The Snyder cut is 4 hours long. Pandemic Arts. Talk about a name that is going to... I think that name is going to improve with time. Oh, thank you so much for the follow, man. Welcome to the stream, and welcome to the Storm Chasers. It's 4 fucking hours, and he didn't do anything in that movie that justifies a 4-hour fucking movie. You want to compliment the movie saying, oh, Cyborg gets some characterization. Yeah, he does. He fucking better for a 4-hour movie. 4 hours. You know what else I noticed? And this one really speaks to what irritates me about Zack Snyder and his involvement with DC at all, is that Zack Snyder doesn't understand DC characters and he has no respect for them. He just wants to make The Boys, but he's not clever enough to make The Boys, so he made fucking Man of Steel. The Green Lantern. The Green Lantern in the flashback fight scene? In the Whedon cut, and you might not remember this because that movie came out a long time ago and it sucked, and you probably haven't rewatched it, and I don't want you to rewatch it because it sucks, but I'm gonna tell you right now, and you can go look it up. In the flashback battle scene that Darkseid was not in the Whedon cut, the Green Lantern activates his ring and he swings a hammer. Boom! Bam! And he swings a big old hammer and he knocks some parademons around with it. And then it cuts to Steppenwolf killing him. We don't see how he dies. We don't see how he gets bested. He just sort of dies. And then Zack Snyder took that footage and was like, no. We can't have a Green Lantern manifesting objects out of his imagination and using them as weapons. He needs to shoot laser beams out of his ring. He needs to shoot laser beams. The character whose power is willpower and imagination needs to shoot laser beams. And that's all he does. He shoots a handful of laser beams. And then he dies like a bitch. And I really couldn't choose a more perfect way to illustrate what's wrong with Zack Snyder's brain. Because, again, he neither understands nor respects the characters that he is ostensibly writing stories about. Because he thought, the Green Lantern should shoot lasers. And, that's fucking stupid. Is it minor and superficial? No, I don't think it is, actually. Because that's his power. That's what Green Lanterns do. And he just sort of wrote it out of the movie because he didn't like it. Shock 21, it was an unnamed Green Lantern. It wasn't like a Green Lantern who had this extensive backstory that explains why he only shoots laser beams. And again, Whedon did it right, and then Zack Snyder changed it back to being stupid, which is frustrating. Now, I'm not saying that the Whedon cut was a good movie. It's not. It's a terrible movie. That movie was awful. I fucking hated it. I'm just saying that there are pieces of it that demonstrate what's wrong with Zack Snyder's fucking brain. And I don't think it should be ignored. Actually, I take that back. They should both be ignored because they're both terrible movies, and please don't ever watch either of them ever again. Please don't. Just for me, don't do that. Unless you really enjoyed them, in which case, you know what? I can't complain. I watch Warjacks semi-regularly, and it's a terrible movie. Sounds like the kind of chest-beating, embellished machismo garbage festering at least since the 70s, 80s action hero films. Yeah, Amish Stig. And again, a perfect example of what's wrong with Snyder. He heard that line and thought, yeah, that's badass. Whedon heard that line and thought that somebody needs to tell him that that's not a saying, and so he had Batman tell him it's not a saying. Also, I liked the moment. I liked the moment in the Whedon cut when Aquaman suddenly got all personal with everybody and talked about not wanting to die and being a young man and having plans for his own life, and then suddenly realized that he was leaning on the lasso of truth. You might not like that scene. It is a little silly. I won't sit here and say that it wasn't silly, but I did like it. I don't see anything wrong with that scene exactly as it was in the Whedon cut. Just wanting a good Green Lantern movie? Good fucking luck, Wandering XP. Because John Stewart Green Lantern had the same problem in Justice League Unlimited, who's a military guy without much imagination. Yeah, and he's not really ever been my favorite. He also manifested some military hardware that was fairly okay. What's up, Chaotic Harmony? How you doing today, man? You're a terrible movie. I mean, I would be a terrible movie. And for as much as I think I have good ideas, I'm sure that if you sat me down and gave me unlimited fucking money to do every stupid idea in my head like they did with Snyder, I'd come up with some really nauseating bullshit too. And then some nerd painting minis on Twitch would tear me apart. And I wouldn't care because I've made a bunch of money. And the cycle repeats. I have to say, this is one of my favorite features of the Warjacks for the Eternus Continuum, are these, like, bundles of muscle fibers underneath the armor plates. I think they're really cool. Alexander's the best part of Warjacks. You're damn right he is, to Square. You're damn right. Yeah, it is. It is on Prime right now. Guys, if you haven't seen Warjacks, go watch it on Prime. And also, watch Prospect on Netflix, because it's a great movie. Some people have their complaints about it, but I think it's a wonderful movie. Okay, and we agree both Whedon and Snyder shouldn't be allowed anywhere near it. Oh, yeah, no, they should both fuck right the fuck off, Lady B. Whedon and Snyder are each overrated, talentless hacks in their own right. Like, on that, you're never going to get an argument out of me. They suck. Which is why I think it's important, as I defend the Whedon cut, to note that I don't think it's a good movie. I just think that when compared with the Snyder cut, it's not as bad as people remember. I think that the Snyder cut is getting a lot of love because no one ever went back and watched the Whedon cut because it sucked. We've had years to turn it into a boogeyman in our heads and decide that it was the worst thing that ever happened. So now we see some of the same bullshit and we're like, oh, this is better. When really, it's not. The worst jokes in the Whedon cut, for me, were Batman's stupid little quip to Barry when he's like, oh, what's your superpower? And he goes, I'm rich. Like, that's a terrible line. That's a fucking terrible line. I thought for sure that was a Whedon joke that was going to get cut. Nope, it's still there. When they're on the roof with Commissioner Gordon, when the whole Justice League shows up to talk to Commissioner Gordon, And then Commissioner Gordon turns away. By the way, J.K. Simmons is a goddamn treasure. He turns away for a moment, and then he turns back, and everybody's gone except the Flash. And the Flash acts surprised that all these people disappeared, and he goes, wow, they really just disappeared on you, huh? How rude! And then he runs off at super speed. That is one of the worst goddamn jokes. It's so out of place, and it's so fucking stupid on so many levels, and when you consider the logistics of it, you have to accept that Barry saw them all leaving. Kevin Smith wants a lot of things, and Kevin Smith should similarly not be given what he wants, because Kevin Smith is a big steaming fart sack of vaguely good ideas and kinda crappy execution. That's probably harsh on Kevin Smith. I like Kevin Smith more than I like Snyder. Kevin Smith doesn't do everything perfect, but at least when he makes a choice, I believe that he understands what he's doing as it relates to comic book characters. That said, he also does movies like Tusk. Friend of mine is a background artist in the GCPD scene. Wandering XP, you just know all the cool people. Yeah, I get that POV, but he's late because, like, he's not late because he's slow. He's late because he's saving the damn world when he should be doing his job. And to tell me that the Flash sat there and waited for everyone to run away and then acted surprised that they had run away is just so fucking stupid. It's not that you can't make a joke there. You can make a joke there. That's just fine. It's that that joke was terrible. It's so idiotically superficial. Zack Snyder can make very, very pretty scenes, and he does storyboarding very well, but don't let him write. I never read that Dabber Raccoon, but that actually, like, I like that more. Like, that would have been a better joke, you know? They all disappear, and the Flash is still standing there, and he's like, I wanted you to finish your sentence, Commissioner Gordon. He's like, you could have important information. That would also make sense because Barry Allen is a fucking forensic investigator. He works with the police. He doesn't run off in the middle of their sentences or thinks that he necessarily knows better than them. He works with them actively, regularly. You just wrote a better joke. You just wrote a better joke right here in chat than the entirety of Zack Snyder's backup team possibly could, which is just astonishing because they got paid like thousands of dollars for what they wrote. You didn't get paid a goddamn thing. Not a damn thing. Uncle Bill Druin, thank you so much for the follow. Welcome in, welcome to the stream, welcome to the Storm Chasers. I'm glad you guys like the look of this mini. I am also a fan of this one, and I haven't gotten as much work done on it today as I'd like, but I'm also rapidly reaching the point where my shoulders are cramping up. So I think we're going to go over to the Storm Report. It's a cool mini, though. And yeah, as I continue to detail the little muscle fibers, they'll all sort of pop out more, and then I need to detail and highlight all the armor panels. Now, he has a bunch of weapons that attach to him. Where are they? So he has 3 hard points. He comes standard with the big crazy claw. That weapon is always attached to this Warjack. But then he's got this mounting point on his other arm with a magnet on it, and I've been 3D printing these guys that go right along with that. He has a number of options. This is the Force Rod, which is a melee weapon that has a knockback effect. That magnetizes right to his arm. Easy peasy like that. And then he has 2 points with, and this does not have a magnet in it because I haven't done the weapons yet. This is also a slight modification of his actual weapon. But then he has these 2 pods on either side of his little back shell pod are connection points for smaller weapons, like this little nailer machine gun. So you can outfit your Warjack with a variety of weapons depending on what it is that you're trying to do with them, both melee and ranged. But that also, it kind of balances him out more, so that he doesn't look quite so lopsided with that one big claw. But yeah, I think this is actually coming together pretty well. I'm rapidly approaching the threshold where I actually like the paint job. I have an alternate sculpt of the same Warjack, known as the Scourge, in this pose here, where he's pointing his arm weapon outward, and he also has a different head on him on this one with the same claw. His feet oriented slightly differently, so I'm going to be painting him next. And then the final Warjack for the Eternus Continuum, the one that I'm most excited about painting, and I'm saving him for last because I want to make some color and stylistic decisions on the other ones before I get to him. I just want to show off the Nemesis one more time. I love this Warjack. He's similar. He has hard points here and here, which I have magnets in, and then he has a hard point on each arm, so that you can actually attach. I haven't put magnets in any of my new resin weapons yet. You can actually attach, click, multiple weapons to his arms as you see fit. So this is primed. It also has a little bit of paint on it, Darkheart. I use Stynel Res Primer for almost everything now. Stynel Res is a fantastic primer. It bonds to basically every material better than almost any other primer that I've used. I like it quite a lot better than I like my my old Vallejo primers. Stynel Res. Can somebody type the name of it? Because yeah, it's a weird name. The easy way to think of it is it's styrene nylon resin. Stynel Res. Yeah, that's it right there. They both spelled it right. Except Datron Voltari, he spelled it wrong. Then Stila spelled it right. Ignore Datron, pay attention to everyone else, because they spelled it right. But yeah, it's really good stuff. It's a little more expensive. It is absolutely worth it, in my opinion. And then I just kind of airbrushed some, I think this was an airbrush of Pro Acryl's Dark Warm Gray, and then a quick Zenithal of Scale 75 Birch. Just to give it some easy coloration so I didn't have to completely hand paint every surface. I love this mini. I love this mini. This mini is fucking fantastic. This is my favorite Warjack that they have. Look at the engines on it. This thing is nonsense. Ooh. It's more engine than Jack. I really love this design, and I hope that we see more of this moving forward. I will do no such thing.
If you don't respect the cat, you're gonna get the bat.
It's true, you will. The insectoid flare out. Yeah, it's like, I like the look of the Scourge. I think the Scourge looks very cool. I think that the Nemesis is like an order of magnitude cooler than the Scourge, and I really do quite like this one. I'm also a fan. Really, the only Warjack that I don't like, because soon I'm going to have the Marcher Worlds Warjacks. I'll show you those. I really like the design of them. I also very much like the Iron Star Alliance basic Warjack, the Firebrand. That's this guy. I like his big, like, energy collection veins that I'm going to do as glowing when I paint him. And he's got kind of this hunched forward, very aggressive attitude to him, you know? And he's got some really cool attachments that turn his arms into, like, energy boxing gloves and shit like that. I like the Firebrand. I think it's very cool looking. The one that I don't like is the Morning Star. It's not quite right. And when I assembled it, something that I always try to do with metal minis in particular is I want the mini to be able to stand on its own. I don't want it balanced weirdly. It needs to be able to stand on its own 2 feet, at least balancing on the table. And the only way I was able to do that was by leaning it way forward like this. And now it looks like it's about to take a shit. And it's unfortunate. The heavy Warjack for the Iron Star Alliance doesn't look great. Yeah, like, it does. It looks better with paint than it does without paint, but it's just there are a lot of design decisions made on this particular Jack that make it not great. Just getting ready to make an ammo dump. Yeah, there you go. He's afraid of an ammo explosion. Both of the Marcher Worlds Jacks look better. That's the funny thing. He's the odd man out. All the other Warjacks have a really cool design, and the Morning Star is he's a bit much. You know, as Larry David would say, he's a bit much. Yeah, I know, Lord Hethrir, but what you're saying is that I have to have a model that aside from its attachment to the base, will tip over backwards if you try to balance it on its feet. And that fucking sucks. I hate that. That's awful. How could they have posed the model in such a way that it falls over backwards if it's not actually attached to something? That is terrible design and a little irritating to me. I'm not a fan of the Morningstar. It's just gonna look like shit, and I'm gonna have to deal with that. But the rest of the models look cool. I like the rest of the ISA models. It's gonna be stable on the base. It's gonna constantly put pressure. It's going to constantly put pressure on the joints if its weight is pulling it back off the base, though, Hetzweir. Like, it's gonna put pressure every single time that I lift the model up and move it around just because the weight's shifting against the joins, but I don't need it exerting pressure or exerting pull against its joints just when it's standing flat on the table. That's crazy. It's crazy. But hey, there's a storm report to get to, isn't there? Let's have a look at what we got.
All right, locusts and gentlemechs, get ready to feast your eyes on glowed paint and wet palettes with the occasional culinary atrocity thrown in on tonight's Storm Report, brought to you by viewers like you.
Let's see. Dealt with too many Necrons for falling over without a base to bother me anymore. Yeah, but those Necrons aren't, you know... This is a lot of metal. This weighs a lot. If this falls over, I've got a problem. A plastic Necron falls over? I don't give a shit. This is solid fucking metal. And that's the thing that I like about the Nemesis versus this. The Nemesis has big chunks on it, but they're in resin. If they release this thing in resin, it's going to be so much better. It won't have to lean forward because it won't be wildly... And, like, they could have fixed it by having the arms oriented in more of a forward pose, but it's like, it has a huge chunk of metal on its back, and it's bringing its arms back in this bizarre pose. It's like they hated the idea of it standing up on its own. Like, they did everything they could to make it bad. It is a series of unfortunate choices and maybe some questions that simply were not asked in the design phase that should have been. Oh, Trotsky, yeah, I think that goes without saying. I don't like metal minis. In fact, one of the reasons that I view the fact that I'm doing metal minis for Warcaster, like, I would encourage you to take that as a massive endorsement of the quality of the gameplay in Warcaster, because I hate metal minis. I hate them. I hate painting them. They don't hold paint well. You have to do all kinds of extra things to get it to adhere. You've got to do an extra thorough job when you're varnishing them. Like, oh, I hate them. But I'm painting them because I love playing the game and I like the designs, and I trust that they're going to continue moving in the direction of larger resin pieces, which so far they have been. And hopefully they'll eventually give me a Morningstar that isn't like a 9-pound chunk of metal. Yeah, metal minis are... And what's funny is you'll get into an argument with people. You'll have people saying that metal minis are superior. Now, I'm a big believer in the subjectivity of preference, and I believe that there are maybe reasons that someone might prefer metal minis. I'm convinced that most of those reasons have to do with, this is what I had when I was a kid, and they tend to be older. Metal minis are inferior. What metal minis are is cheap to produce. They're cheap and easy to produce for a small company in-house. That's what metal minis are. That is the strength of metal minis. They are objectively inferior by all other metrics. And I appreciate that POV. Like, I think that people get confused sometimes, too, and they sort of invest their ego in it. I'm not. That's the thing, Datron Voltari. I'm not, but that's one that I'm gonna stand by. They are inferior in almost every measurable way. You can say things like, I like the weight of them, but here's the thing. if you like the weight of the metal mini, there are ways to make the base of your plastic mini heavy enough that you get all the benefits of a metal mini's weight without having really shitty surface adhesion or joints that are incredibly hard to keep together, or so many of the problems that come with metal figures. So many. You should always do that. Nukam. I want to say Nukem. I'm going to go with Nukem. You should always wash every mini that you get. It's one of those things where is it arguably possible that you don't need to wash a mini that you get? Yes, but there's no good reason not to wash it, and the fact is that if you don't, you're running the risk of there being mold release on it, or even just grease from somebody's hand. You feel resin is also always better than metal. There are so many different resins, Trotsky. There are so many different resins. I would say good resin, yes. But if you were to ask me, like, do I want Citadel Finecast more than metal? No. I would honestly take a metal mini over Finecast most of the time. But Finecast is terrible. I could agree with that Vergata Rum. One thing you can do with metal is get super fine detail, and if it's something small like infantry, it works just fine. Don't have to wash plastic, at least to get the glue to stick the parts together. Well, yeah, in many cases, Nukem, that's because, well, if you're using plastic cement, it's because you're initiating a chemical bond between the two surfaces. Forgot about Finecast. Had one melt in the sun, even though the room was cool, the UV melted. Yeah, Finecast is astonishingly bad. It's just a wretched, horrible material. Finecast. But as I said, I like Warcaster. The meat... See, here's the thing for me, too. You know I talk about 3D printing all the time. I can 3D print fucking anything that I want to 3D print. Models are not necessarily the selling point of a game to me. They're not even what I'm buying when I purchase models. When I purchase models from a company for a game that I'm going to play, the way I look at it is not just, I'm paying money for this figure, is it worth the material and the effort? No. I ask myself, is this a good company that I want to support? Because so much of what's in a game, the minis, these are markers, these are tokens. They're expensive tokens, they're fancy tokens, but they're tokens. The game is in the rules, the game is in the support. The game is in the regular releases, the game is in the tournament rules, the game is in the prize support, the game is in the official events, the game is in the lore. Thank you so much, Roland, you're absolutely correct. And that is what I'm paying money for. That is absolutely what I'm paying money for. That's why I'm buying metal models from Privateer Press for Warcaster, because I like the story, I like the rules, I like the fact that they write tight competitive rule systems. I like the fact that they update their rules regularly. I like the fact that they provide prize support. I like the fact that they do alternate sculpts for conventions. I like what they do as a company, even if I don't like the material. And I'm paying into Warcaster Neo Mechanica, the game, and not necessarily the models that I'm making, because I could play the game with circles of cardboard if I wanted to. I usually have a better way to close out my rants, but I don't really have anything for this one. It just sort of ends all of a sudden. Huh. Let's look at the Storm Report.
Here at Thunderhead Studios, we specialize in turning your shame into more shame.
Is this the Godzilla vs. Kong fan shame? Yeah, let's talk. Let's talk about Millie Bobby Brown and how she's the best thing to ever happen to Godzilla. You can always end with a butt joke. Oh, I can't play that one on this one. Man, sabotaging myself. I've got a good butt joke on my other overlay. That's just a shame. Just
Welcome,
a
everyone,
shame.
to Thunderhead Studios, where the only rule is...
Please don't show me your genitals.
Have fun, be safe, and above all...
Don't show them to me. For the love of God. Don't do it. We're not going to talk about Godzilla vs. Kong. We're not going to do it, because it's stupid. It's dumb rather than smart dumb. And yes, there's a difference, and we'll get into that sometime in the near future. Next time we talk about Pacific Rim, we'll talk a little bit about Godzilla vs. Kong. And why Pacific Rim, despite being superficially similar, is on a completely different level of filmmaking. Completely different level of filmmaking. Sucks about Battletech, then. Yeah, you might notice that I print everything for Battletech for Gatorung. You might notice that. Battletech also hasn't had new rules in like 30 years. Holy moly, let's take a look at what Zombie Brush Studios has for us today and then get through this before I collapse into a heap. Is it weird that I like these minis better than the ones from Marvel Crisis Protocol? Like, they're chibi, okay, fine, but I like the poses better. Like, I think that there's so much more evocative, and they have much deeper details, obviously. Yeah, Asri, it's a love letter to Guillermo del Toro's childhood, but I don't want to get off on that because I'll talk about that for hours. They do have more character, I agree. Doesn't really need new rules, IMO. Trotsky, I would disagree with you on that one. I think that if any game could use a true second edition, use Battletech. Don't get me wrong, I love the a la carte rule system as it exists, but I think it could use some help. Ironically enough, what's keeping Battletech alive are the grognards who don't want the rules to change. I'm with you, Roland. At this point, I used to not be as into Alpha Strike. I think that Alpha Strike, and I don't want to go into this subject because I could talk about this for a while. I'm gonna sum it up as succinctly as I can. If CGL treated Alpha Strike like a real game and focused their rule writing in on it and gave us like a proper Battletech expansion focusing on Alpha Strike as the flagship, that would be the way to go. That would absolutely be the way to go. Alpha Strike still needs development, in my opinion. It could use its own second edition, but it has far fewer things that need to change. Leave Classic Battletech the way that it is and call it Battletech Classic, and then make Alpha Strike into Battletech and push it, push it, push it. New releases, sponsored tournaments, game accessories and doodads, smaller versions of the rule books. Like, there are so many things you could do. Death from Above is making a rule set that blends Destiny with Alpha Strike. You're talking about the problem for Gatorone, and that is that the company that holds the IP are the least competent people in the fucking room. The fans are doing a better fucking job than updating the rules to Battletech than the company is. But again, I don't want to get into the subject. I'm not going to go any further with it. I have opinions. I have opinions, and I'll shout them at you. Oh, Jesus. I'm wearing myself the fuck out over here. Oh, my God, my God. Another day I'm going to pick your brain about what needs to change, because I do agree some changes would be good. We could have that conversation, Trotsky. It would involve me dialing the timeline back to 3025, and that already turned some people off. These colors on Green Goblin are crazy. Zombie Brush, for someone who does black and white so regularly, you have such vibrant colors when you decide to do them. I love this little Green Goblin. Why are the GB Marvel minis better than the serious Marvel minis? I don't understand it. Maybe it's just that Zombie Brush is doing such a damn good job with them. Zombie Brush, I would love a frontal shot of Green Goblin, because we have like a 3/4 here where I can't quite see his funny looking little face, and then we have from the rear, and the colors on it are amazing, but man, I want to see him from the front. I really do. Zombie Brush, thank you so much for sharing this with us today. There we have from Lore Friendly. Current works in progress. Just need to clean up the paint with my grays and add some panel lines. Ooh, going into the yellows for this set, huh? And then, is it just brown? Marauder's just gonna be brown? That's okay. I guess he doesn't have to have a bright, vibrant color like everyone else. Just when I think of the primary colors, brown doesn't usually enter into my consideration. It's a good, clean-looking paint job, though. Really dig the gold yellow over here on the Thunderbolt, and good job trying to paint the Thunderbolt glass. You have my sympathies. This is fucking ridiculously impossible. One of the worst pieces of brainless miniature design in recent memory is the cockpit of the Thunderbolt. Oh my God, why? Who thought that was a good idea? All right, let's keep going. Lore Friendly, it's looking good. The whole squad's gonna look badass when you get them all together. Oh, Rogue 19K. Hobby tip, be careful when using hobby knives. Yeah. I saw a fake ad for X-Acto a number of years back, and it just said, X-Acto, it's fucking sharp. It is. It's fucking sharp. Don't stab yourself with hobby knives. Quick tip, just because we're talking about hobby blade safety, quick tip for everybody who's ever cut themselves with a hobby knife. And you probably already know this, but some of you, sometimes the simplest pieces of advice are the most elusive. Always cut away from yourself. Always cut away from yourself and your body parts. If you're holding something in your hand and you've got the blade and you're pulling it towards yourself, you're doing it wrong. You might have more control. Flip the blade around, orient your piece appropriately, and push the cutting surface away from yourself so that if and when you slip, it goes away. This is not necessarily a hard and fast rule. There are ways to cut in such a way that you're pulling the blade inward, but it often involves like what they do in whittling, where you have the blade in your hand and you brace with your thumb and you curl your hand inwards with the blade to make a pull cut, which ensures that you can't actually stab yourself unless you also push your thumb forward. Trying to pry up, not across. Ooh, yeah, wow. I mean, sometimes it just goes wrong, Another good thing about being hobbyists like we are, first of all, X-Acto knives. Okay, here's another tip. Change your blades regularly, because dull blades suck to get cut with. Getting cut with a dull blade is the worst damn thing. Getting cut with a sharp blade is not as bad. You might think this is funny, because a sharp blade will cut more easily than a dull blade. Here's the thing, a dull blade's still going to cut the shit out of you. It's just going to leave a nasty, ragged, painful cut. And probably stuff a bunch of shit inside the cut because you've been using it for too long. A sharp blade will leave a nice, clean, quick cut. And because you're around a bunch of super glue, you're often ideally poised to then just kind of wipe some super glue in the wound. If you can get, like, I've cut the pad of my thumb a bunch of times where it's been like, slice, super clean cut, and just take a little bit of super glue and wipe it in there real quick. And it heals, you won't even get a scar. Exactly, Crossbow Roof. Clean cuts heal wonderfully. But that's the thing, Riot Sister, if you're using a clean blade and the cut is clean, you're not sealing anything in there because it's a perfectly clean cut. It does seem like ironic advice. Cut yourself more cleanly and better. I should know that, Riot Sister. I'm pretty sure you're always being sarcastic, but I can't, it's safety tips, so I can't make that assumption. Here we have from Hethrir, the Wastelander, a merc model for the Legion of Everblight army, also the first attempt at non-metallic metal on the blade, and you did a Hethrir. This is a wonderful looking miniature that you've done here. Ooh. This is nice. You showed me another mini that you did recently that you don't want to share for obvious reasons, and I think you did a great job on that. I think you might have done a better job on this mini, man. This has some very, very pleasing color combinations, and a really, really nice, clean non-metallic metal on the blade. You could push this non-metallic metal much, much higher and much, much lower into much more sharp contrast. But the degree of contrast you've chosen to go with here, I think works very well. Pass on the super glue. Yeah, it was actually developed as a wound closure, Wandering XP. You ever wonder why super glue will stick you to every single thing in the world? It's because it's designed to stick to you. It's designed to go into cuts and wounds and seal them up. I'm not saying use a lot, just the tiniest little whoop, just swipe some super glue on a super clean cut, and it will basically disappear. It will basically vanish, like you won't even have a scar. It's kind of amazing. Well, then don't cut yourself, Wandering XP. You're gonna have to deal with it somehow. Hethrir, that's a fucking gorgeous mini. I don't know how much of this texturing on top was. I'm gonna assume that on top this is just smooth, and you did all this texturing yourself with these tight little strokes. This is amazing. This looks fan-fucking-tastic. This plays this so well to the eye. It's really impressive. Yeah. Hethrir has been Hethrir's been painting a lot lately, and thus Hethrir has been improving a lot lately. Seriously, man. Holy moly. Here we have from Amateur Paint our bases for the Kellhounds. I think they're pretty snazzy. Hell yeah, man. These work. A little bit of texturing, a little bit of rocks, some little grass tufts in there. I will say that scaling texture for 6mm is incredibly hard to do, so we have to assume that these are like super tall brush and boulders as opposed to small rocks. But once you get a mini on there, it obviously plays better. The coloration is all very nice. Battletech bases are also tricky because the feet of battle mechs tend to cover so much of them. It's a really nice set of bases that you got here, man. I'm looking at them thinking, like, I mean, what would I do differently? Given the choices that you've made, I think that you've done the coloration all right. You haven't focused too much on any one thing. I would probably make a couple of different choices for scaling, but it's such a fine change at that point. I think these look really, really good, Amateur Paint Hour. And they're particularly with the yellow, since you're doing Kellhounds, they're going to be black and red. I think this is all in all going to be really well composed when you get the minis put down. Very, very nice. Slice the tip of my thumb off, use 2 tubes of super glue to keep it all together. Yeah, no, it's like... use it. I'm not... Wandering XP, I'm not suggesting that you super glue every wound you ever have together. I'm saying, if you cut yourself with a hobby blade, a really sharp, fresh hobby blade, and you have one of those perfect little line cuts in your thumb, if you just take the tiniest little bit, the tiniest little dab of super glue, and just swipe it across the surface, and then forget about the cut, the next day, it'll be gone. It'll just be gone. It's like, if you do it immediately and you got a clean cut, it's a good idea. If you, like, slash your thumb completely off, call a fucking ambulance, dude. Here we have from Rogue 19K, the 17th Avalon Hussars CRB-20 Crab, piloted by the now infamous Crab Meat. Is that Frank Reynolds? You got Danny DeVito in there? First of 4 mechs featured in my Death from Above Wargaming Alpha Strike Battlelytics, God, that's a funny word, Tournament Lance Thunder Rolls. I love the classic Crab. I think that, as much as I dislike a lot of the MechWarrior Online resculpts of minis, I think that their version of the Crab is excellent, like it looks really good, but I just love the classic Crab. It's such a goofy looking mech, it just works for me. It has such retro style to it, doesn't it? I've also heard put the thumb in your mouth works, Don's Virgo. Like, keep it, like, warm and moist, but I don't know, so I'm not going to suggest that to anybody. I've just sort of heard it. Just suggest I should have called an ambulance? Blasphemy! Yes. Please, Kursala, next time, please do. Yeah, really, really slick paint job, Rogue 19. One of my favorite IW. I agree. Like, as someone who regularly talks shit about IWM sculpts, I'll be the first to admit when they've got a good one. And yeah, their classic Crab came out just fine. Very much in line with the line art. Spit acid on it, that'll heal it up fast. Yeah. If you cut your thumb off, throw it in the fire and put some lighter fluid on it and light it on fire and burn it. That seems like a good tip. I got an idea, guys. Don't take medical advice from Twitch streamers. Maybe you thought? Maybe we go with that one? just in general? Consult medical professionals? Messed up the gloves on your dread bust. What'd you do, Lady B? Did you paint them something other than green? Because they should be green. I saw one of your Instagram posts from a little while ago about the dread bust. I haven't followed your latest progress on it. Ooh. Here we have something new from Playing Win. As he says, this time for something a bit newer. In terms of modeling, She-Hulk is great. The detail is a lot better than the core box, and they really managed to get seems to be a long edging of clothing and whatnot where a hard edge is expected to be. Oh, God, my neck. In terms of paint job, I'm middle of the road on this one. The colors, I think, are good hues, but they came out pretty splotchy this time. She's also in a weird pose, slightly leaning back and holding something even further behind her, which meant the zenithal priming I did left her back basically straight black. On a tangential note, everyone seems to love the Incredible Hulk, but I can't for the life of me understand why. It's certainly not because of his charming personality. I like him as a periodic villain, but I can't see him as the hero. I don't really dig the mindless berserker archetype, I guess. You kind of nailed it, though, Play and Win. I think most people who like the Incredible Hulk like him as, like, the Hulk by himself. You'll find people who are like, I like the character of Bruce Banner. I feel like they're few and far between. For the most part, you are going to find that people like the Hulk in the context of other characters' stories. He's a good foil. He is a good occasional villain. He's a good counterpoint of a character, and he facilitates a lot of storytelling. But I think it's fair to say that She-Hulk has always been a better written character. Like, she has always had more development and more writing devoted to her than Bruce Banner almost ever has. I'm not a huge fan of the Hulk myself, so I can't sit here and defend him necessarily. How the Hulk was used in Thor Ragnarok, yeah, I mean, Asri, that was basically just Planet Hulk. Find me someone who likes the Hulk, who doesn't think that Planet Hulk was the best storyline that Hulk ever had, and I'll find you a fucking liar. Because Planet Hulk is amazing. But again, Planet Hulk is just like a wild, crazy story about the Hulk getting, like, exiled from Earth, and then deciding, I need to go fight as a gladiator, and then gather an army and go back to Earth and kick the shit out of Iron Man. And this is already a compelling concept. That's flat. Oh god, let's look at the paint job. Oh. Excuse me. So you've got really nice, vivid colors. Yeah, I see what you mean. They came out a little bit splotchy. Now, if I was going to pick some painting techniques for you to lean into on a paint job like this one, because you've got a lot of pre-shading done between your zenithal and the paint that's gone down here. You see the muscles are actually fairly well defined in the shadows. This you can read as like a coloring book, like a paint by numbers, because you can see where the highlights should go, can't you? Like right here, between like a little one right here on the other side of her jumpsuit. You can see how there should be a highlight here at the top of the muscle. You can see how there should probably be a highlight going down the length of the bicep, a highlight down here along the tricep, some highlights up here along the forearm, maybe on the tip of the elbow. Like, I think looking at this picture, you can see where the light should go. And if you come in with some kicking the shit out of Iron Man is an inherently entertaining concept. You can come in with some lighter colors and do some layered highlighting by hand here, Play and Win. This is, if you were looking for advice on what direction to go as a painter, picking up layered highlights. Don't worry too much about the blends. Don't worry about the blends. Do not worry about blending your highlights together. Focus on putting the highlights in the right place. I have recommended on this channel a number of times a painter who goes by Paint My Little World. You can find him on Facebook, you can find him on Instagram. I should have a link to him, I talk about him enough. Paint My Little World is an incredibly talented painter, and he is himself a case study in how blending doesn't fucking matter. It's an art style you can lean into. Some people do really, really gorgeous blends, but you don't have to do gorgeous blends to have good looking minis. If your color choices are right, if you utilize value contrast as well as color contrast, and you place your highlights in the right position, they can be stark and they can be chunky and they can still look amazing. So don't let blending slow you down. Don't let blending stop you from layering. You can have stark transitions as long as the colors are right. And I think this is a great model for you to lean into on that one. Play and Win. Because like I said, I bet you can see where the highlight should go just looking at this picture. So come back at this mini, Play and Win, and do some layered highlighting by hand. Do me that favor, just as an experiment. I think you'll like what happens. And if you're really, really worried about blending or matching your hues, pick yourself up something like Scale Color 75's Inktense Green or Dr. P.H. Martin's Spectralite Green. Do your chunky highlighting, make the values very, very different, and then lightly glaze a green over the whole thing just to kind of bring it all together. That can work too. Again, you can see where the highlight should be. Back of the calf here, top of the thigh here, inside of the knee here, calves, top of the thigh. picking out one or two, bottom of the elbow here, top of the shoulder, fingertips. You can do the same thing with the jumpsuit, but if all you do is the green, I think you'll like how it comes out. Yeah, no, that's true, Rogue 19. And always apply. Always, always, always apply. Because I know that you play games like I do play and win. You're not necessarily painting to win, you know, golden demons and crystal brushes. Remember the 3 to 5 foot rule. Every now and then take your mini and hold it at arm's length and ask yourself, does it look good here? Because that's the distance that's going to be seen from on average. That is average viewing distance, is at arm's length, 3 to 5 feet. I think this is a perfect mini for you to try it on, play, and win, because again, I feel like if you look at this picture, you can already see where the highlights should go. So try just putting them on there. You know? This is a good mini to grow with. And yeah, also I'd like to note, as Play and Win noted, for all my complaints about the Marvel Crisis Protocol core figures having really soft details, Wandering XP, you might know about this. The later sculpts, the newer sculpts, the ones they're putting out now, have much deeper, easier to paint detailing on them. I think that they're improving with every model they release. Here we have from Wolverine DH, my design of a Raptor 2. Here are the Raptor twins. The two sisters, Sarah and Angela. And Alpha Strike special rules. When fighting together, she has skill 2. One is destroyed or killed. The other one has anger skill 1 for 2 turns. And then skill 5. Oh, a skill. Attacks. Okay, I see what you mean. Yeah, they really are. I mean, you know, Atomic Mass is a new company. And I feel like if the first models they've ever made, literally the first models they've ever made, have some little problems with them, and then they immediately start getting better, like, that to me is actually a huge, that's almost better than they just make good models right out of the gate, because it shows that they're paying attention to the quality and they're trying to improve. I think that's hugely important. Now, Wolverine DH, I got a chance to see some of these on the BattleTech International 3D printing page as you've been working on them, and I think they came out really nice, man. The Raptor's a tricky one because it's so little. They're such little mechs. Nice, chunky, classic design, not completely lost in panel lines or the modern blocky aesthetic. I really like these, man. And you did a good job on them. Good job with the decals, too. Very well done, Wolverine DH. I'm gonna have to get that file from you. Yeah, that turntable looks familiar. Yeah, we all kind of got that one. Oh, here we have from the POV 42. Finally found a black glaze I like in Kursala's Onyx overlay. By the way, would somebody do me a favor? Type exclamation Rainy River into chat. Let's see what happens. Oh, it's magic! Look at the magic. Only one, but you don't all have to do it. Everybody wants in on the action. All right, now you know what what follow-ups can do? You can type exclamation point Steel Core and see what happens. Not Steel Core. No, Metal Core. Exclamation point Metal Core. Oh god, what's wrong with me? I hope I did it right. Oh, thank God Rogue 19K got it wrong anyway. There we go. So now, yeah, we're not like affiliated in any legal way with Rainy River or with Metalcore. It's just that Kursala and Cyber Knight and Data Nerd are such good friends of the stream and personal friends, and they've been so supportive, and we feature their stuff on here all the time anyway, that we just want to share with you. They do great work. You should always have a link available to find those two. But yeah, let's take a look at what's Kursala. I mentioned this because Rainy River Designs is doing paints and technicals now. And now we can take a look at what some of their paints have done. This is a really nicely done mini, I have to say. I thought there was another one, but it's 3 in 1. I have to say, POV, this is a really nice looking Marauder that you got done here. Simple, effective, it helps all of the existing details on the model pop out at the viewer. And yeah, that Onyx overlay being used as a bit of a wash over top. Lovely Marauder, very nicely done. I'm intrigued by this modern use of the hazard striping on the front of the base to denote facing. I've never done that myself, but it's pretty neat. It's pretty neat. Told the red was Inktense red with Rainy River Designs ruby on top. Ooh, that makes sense. The Inktense red it's intense. I hate to use the word Inktense because it's like a pun, but I really like the intense colors. Like scale 75, I could skip the entire fucking range except for their color birch, their color Gorefest Crimson, and their Inktense colors. Those 3 products are wonderful. There are a lot of their colors where I'm like, I don't really know what to do with this. But there are some that I really have started to lean on. Vergaderung, he left and he came back, and now he's at work, wasting his employer's dollars as he watches a painting stream of all things. I demand to speak to your supervisor, sir. Put me on the phone with your immediate line manager. I'll wait. We're going to have a talk about your productivity. I demand a refund. Which, considering I don't actually know what Vergaderung does, that'd admittedly be tricky to get. POV42, thank you so much for sharing that with us today. Really, really fantastic job on that Marauder, and I am glad to see Rainy River Designs paint making it out there and helping improve all of our paint jobs. Just trying out the Hazard Stripes, but I kind of like it. Doesn't work as well with some poses. It's always tricky. I always go with the direction the mech is facing as opposed to the feet, but, you know, yeah. Here we have from Tis Square. Dry Brush Fenris came out pretty good, just needs varnish. Oh yeah, we got the detailing on it now. The orange pops really well against the blue. I agree. Having, again, having the ability to, and this is what maybe one of my favorite things about the Storm Report, having the ability to watch people paint week after week after week. Do one mini, try some new ideas, paint another mini, go through 5 or 6 using the same techniques, and then finally get that one where the technique kind of clicks for them. This is... If I could get paid just to do that, like that would be amazing. It's really, really inspiring. Having gotten the chance to watch to Square paint a number of minis and try dry brushing more and more and leaning more into the technique, yeah, man, this is one of the best looking ones that you've done. I think you know, as well as, like, every painter knows, I've got room to grow. I have more that I can do. I have things that I would like to do better the next time I paint a mini. But as much as that is always true for each of us as we paint miniatures, it's also important to take a moment when you've reached a milestone or when you've succeeded with a technique that you struggled with before and recognize your own accomplishments. And this is a lovely looking mini to Square. This came out fantastic. You've got good value contrast with your shadows because you did the dry brushing over a dark base, and you've got good color contrast between the cockpit glass and the weapon. And if that's all you're picking out on a battle mech, you're already doing a good job. Are there more details you could add? Sure. Is it possible to paint cleaner? Sure. But this looks fucking fantastic. And you deserve to take a fucking bow for this one, sir. Lovely work to Square, and thank you so much for sharing with us today. Could you theoretically dry brush a contrast paint? Probably not, Roland. Contrast paints are very wet by nature, and their surface tension is a big part of the reason that they work. You'd be better off dry brushing just a similarly colored normal paint, probably something with a good thick pigment density that's been left to kind of dry some of the medium out of it a little bit. I would not, I mean, like, I can't say that. I kind of wonder what would happen if you tried it, but it would be like a sloppy wet brush. Ultimately, I don't know how you could blow up that Kleiner scum on the tabletop. Verg always with those welcoming, very very welcoming remarks. Used an ELF contour brush to do the weathering effect on the lower legs. Yeah, oh, this came out nice. Mud down here. Use the ELF contour brush for a whole mech and tell me how that goes. Tell me it's not like the best damn brush you've ever used. Yeah, the mud on the feet's a nice. That's one of the things that always helps to sell the scale of BattleTech for me is when you got mud on the feet. And I always caution people against doing too much of it, because you got to remember, this thing's like 20, 30 feet tall. You're going to have a lot of dirt down around the knees. And there's no fart command, Lady B. What?
Here at Thunderhead Studios, it's okay to be sloppy. Bonus points if it's white paint.
What exactly is it that I have done as a streamer or as a painter that convinced you?
Here at Thunderhead Studio, we specialize in turning your shame into more shame.
That there would be a command that was exclamation point fart in my stream. I'm not drunk enough for this shit. Alright, let's keep going. Debating using Rise of Rust on the crab. I did that with my Comguard crabs.
Welcome back to 50 Shades of Coal Gray. And as he pulled his stiff bristles out of my wet fluids, I yelled out, "No, Thunderhead! You need to thin that paint first!"
People come in here and think, this stream looks like the kind of place that would probably have a fart command. Yeah, I'm just wondering what it is that gives them that impression. Oh god, let's keep going. White Wolf. Yes, I like taking pics with my ship in it. Is it obvious? Elite Dangerous, and I don't know, maybe somewhere around 15k light years from Sol. Having a bit of fun in a nebula is always a great way to pass the time. Doubly so when you're doing a rather long wander through here and there. Deep in the black. Darkheart with like the facepalm bits. Thank you so much for the biddies. Oh my god. Why don't people attach miniature trees to Battletech models to show scale? First of all, Fire Smoke, some people do. That's actually something that I've seen people do. Look, we don't know. There's no butts line. It's ass-crackling thunderspunk, and I'll have you know that there's a difference. Not necessarily a good one, but there is a difference. Yeah, Fire Smoke, some people do. You'll find people that use trees in their basing. One of the reasons people don't do it a lot is because if you're playing on a standard Battletech hex map, you don't have a lot of room for basing. And a lot of mechs don't leave a lot of room on the bases themselves. So it's tricky to find the room to also put on a tree. One of the other reasons that a lot of people don't do it is that trees are a form of terrain for Battletech. And yeah, and also battle mechs are roughly the height of a lot of trees. So you'd have to have it be the height of the mech or be short and wide. It just doesn't fit all that well most of the time. Something I've seen people do that I myself have done is put like busted off tree trunks on the base. That can work. It takes a little bit of extra effort. But yeah, if it looks like the tree kicked, or like a mech kicked a tree over, so you got a tree stump, that kind of helps to scale it. But I like where your head's at, because details like that help to sell the scale of Battletech, because you can look at it and your brain's like, oh, I know how big that's supposed to be. Small cars, yeah, that's another good option to roll. Well, that's a lovely picture, White Wolf. You keep making me want to get back into Elite Dangerous. Oh, and then some reading for me. Since I don't really have anything noteworthy to post regarding my desk, at least right at this moment, I still think it's time we playfully address one thing that commonly gets said about a different space game, EVE Online. Many call it a spreadsheet simulator. Who would say that? But the thing is, most of the tools in the game are actually included in it. You need to look up the price of something in the region, you can do that. With the right skills, you can even see pricing in a much wider area. With Elite, it relies upon people running third-party apps. Centralized database having all this info fed. You just can't look up where to buy a ship or module you want in the game. It's literally a third-party website. Now, as for third-party tools, this is where they become insanely helpful to explorers. You see, when dealing with the soul-crushing usage of the full system scanner, you go into autopilot mode. Well, there's some info there. It's not easy to read, and when you have 21 planets to find, you don't really wait to see all the info populate. In fact, 95% of the time, the planet hasn't even fully rendered for me in FSS before I'm on to the next one. So here's what common Reddit or forum logic would have lost me if it wasn't for ED Discovery. They make pills for that. About 12 million or so extra credits because it points out planets that are terraformable, and there's 8 in this system. I kind of like the third-party apps. I don't know, it makes me feel more involved with the universe, I guess. But then I don't play it that much, so I can't have that strong of an opinion on it. Elite Dangerous doesn't even use spreadsheets. It's literally a case of needing an extra screen for the data to be shown as a data screen, and now Thunderhead's 3D printer is broken. That's something else entirely. That's max within max. Okay, ignore the $sign. That's technically to let you know which ones are worth more, but I never raised it from the default 50k credits. Oh yeah, ED Discovery also shows you what minerals can be found on a planet, which is really, 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 really handy, sort of, to let you know whether or not it's actually worth landing on said planets. Interesting. That's White Wolf. He likes to write long posts. The question, Lady B, is why do I read them all? And because it's usually, interesting information. That's why. But we are moving on very quickly to Zombie Brush Studios, who heard that Thunderhead likes black, and wow, he's adorable. So the first person to say that Frankenstein is the name of the doctor and not the monster gets banned. The first person to say it. Because now I'm going to say that this is an adorable Frankenstein. And you're just going to have to deal with it. You're just going to have to deal with it. Because it's an adorable black and white Frankenstein. Riot Sister, ban Riot's... Ban Riot... You got me there. It's Frankenstein! I'm glad that we have so many fans of young Frankenstein in the chat. You're a smart-ass, Daedrin. What if the Doctor was the real monster? All along. Ooh. Oh, it's the Doctor and the monster. Oh, shit, okay. I didn't even read it. I didn't read it, Riot Sister. I read the first part of it and I assumed I knew what you were saying. I'm fine with that, though. It's the Doctor and the monster. It's named after him. I don't know if it counts if you use the sarcastic typeset, Wandering XP. Walter's Workshop, by the way, he just came in and wrote the word it. Have you even been in chat up until this point? What's up, Walter? Can we get a shout out? For Walter's Workshop, a fantastic streamer and painter, who you should be following if you're not. I like how his eyes are a little fucked up. He's got like a lazy eye. One's like, duh, over here, and one's duh, over here. It's probably because he has the brain of Abby Normal in him. I feel regularly that you're a better painter than I am, Zombie Brush, and because painting is inherently a competition and a zero-sum game, that means that I'm going to have to destroy you. That's how it works, right? Like there can be only one. It's like a Highlander situation. At least that's what I was told when I got started. Really great work on the eyes. In particular, though. Fantastic work, Zombie Brush. Again, if you're not following Zombie Brush Studios, you really should be. He's one of the most interesting painters on Twitch. Here we have from Rio. Put a little more effort on this one as we have birthdays in April. Y'all know who you are. Oh, we do. Introducing round 2 of Blunderthed's Frontier Derp Fence versus Scourge. There's a barbecue going on. And I've got a little Thunderhead Studios apron going, and I look just as irritated as ever. Probably because Kat is sitting on my head while enjoying the burger that Scourge apparently made for her. I like how there's just like a generic meat with a bone stuck through it, like you might find as a power-up in Bonk's Adventure. There on the grill. That's a nice touch. Does that make James Wapple the Kurgan? Oh, shit! I don't want to think too much about the time when I'm inevitably going to have to fight James Wapple, okay? I'm building up to that. We're not there yet. He hasn't come after me yet. And yes, it does make James Wapple the Kurgan. And also, honestly, we should tell him that. I think he'd appreciate it. And then, of course, up here we have a nice day at the baseball diamond as this Ronin prepares to... I'm not even winding up. I'm asking about hot dogs. Like, Kat is insisting I need to be pitching, but I'm just like, so hot dogs, yeah? Possibly one of my favorite things about these images is that I always manage to be so static and irritated looking as a Titan. Lady B, these are just, Rio does these for fun. And yeah, he does some really great work. I like how the Scourge is rocking the thumbs up too, and he's just like, yeah, fire! You're damn right, fire! And he used what appeared to be one of his little back tanks as a propane tank. These little ones that stick off his back. That's a nice touch, Rio. This is the first food reference in the Storm Report, and I gotta say I'm already hungry, even though we're running a little bit early today. Here we have from Jenny Joy. Ooh, Easter egg. Orcs. Oh, this is fucking ridiculous. Like, in the best possible way. This is just nonsense. This... like how we've converted his gubbins up here. We've added some ears, and it has just become a really crude-looking rabbit on top of a skull. Like, it's not even... It hasn't even been significantly modified into a rabbit. There's just a crude rabbit face painted over the crude skull. Which is so orky, it just seems so perfectly appropriate. And yeah, he's really excited, because look, there's like, what I assume is a squig egg down here. Are their claws supposed to be carrots? Like a rabbit would eat, like carrots, like Bugs Bunny would eat? I'll give you this, Jenny. I haven't seen this particular gag before. And in my book, that grants it value. Now, the 1900th person to imitate this, I'll probably roll my eyes at. But in this particular case, the crude rabbit faces and the goddamn carrot power claws are pretty adorable, I have to say. Well, nicely done, Jenny, and thank you so much for sharing. But I never get a chance to stop into Jenny Joy's stream. Like, I don't know. I'm never online whenever it is that she's streaming. I need to look up her schedule. Here we have from Magnatorius Maximus, our very own Cyber Knight, the proprietor of Metalcore Collectibles, who, again, you can now find a link to his website by typing in !Metalcore. Lady B, thank you so much for the reminder. So all the design work is done on the Streaker. 13 variants total. Production is in progress, and we still have painting yet to go, but with a bit of luck, I should be able to get them up in the shop within the next 2 weeks. A list of the variants will be included after the picture. I love these multi-part renders that you do. Well, yeah, we've got two basic configurations for the cab on the Streaker, which reminds me so much of the crawler that's in the director's cut of Aliens. You know, the one that Newt's parents go out in? And they leave Newt and her brother in there, and then they throw open the door, and Newt looks out, and her father's in the ground, and there's a horrible alien thing, and it's fucking him in his throat, and she's like, ah! Like, oh my god, yeah. For some reason, yeah, this makes me think of all those things. But that's neither here nor there. The point is, it's really, really cool how modular this is. I don't know where that tangent came from. I don't know. But as always, there are magnet slots in this, so you can click this bad boy in there. And then you have all these options for weapons. Lasers and tags and missiles. Oh my. The militarized version of the Mass Effect Andromeda rover. That thing was already pretty militarized. To be fair. That's fair, Lady B. I do need to drink more water. You're trying to kill me. Oh, God. Chat. Lady B is an assassin. Destroy her.
I know you're really
No fire smoke.
Thunderhead, but
I'm gonna
your
wait.
camera is...
Oh, I see. Okay, yeah, no, that's great. That's wonderful. You're all such great people. Oh. Okay, I see how it is. Okay, no, I get it. I get it. I would have sworn that... Oh, God, excuse me. The combination of choking and then my muscles already being sore is really fucking me up a little bit here. Water does not fix... No, that's not how this works. That's not how this works. We're gonna let it dry out just a little bit. Also, don't die, yeah. It's been a long time since I played Andromeda. I admit I don't... I guess it didn't have weapons on it, did it? I kept thinking of attacking with that rover, but then I realized what I was actually doing was I would cruise in and I would run into people with the rover, and then I would jump out and I'd do that attack where you jet up into the air and then shoot down with your fist and punch the ground, which, let's face it, that's the coolest attack ever, like in anything. Everybody wants me to die, apparently. Metalcore collectibles. Light a fire in your throat, going for an opposites thing if water is the problem. This is genius. It's because I've been eating, you know what it is, Walter's Workshop? I've been eating apples lately, and I haven't been removing the skin, so the toxins are what's been getting me. Really, really nice work, though. Overall, Metalcore Collectibles. Right there in chat, how you doing? By the way, Metalcore Collectibles, the timer might not be up, but you can hit exclamation point Metalcore now to get a link to a site where you can buy this and so many more 6mm vehicles and mechs, all with this same alarming attention to detail and modularity. Probably some of the best 6mm products on the fucking planet. You can't get the Streaker yet? Okay. It's going to be up in like the next 2 weeks. That's what it says in the post. But there's a lot of other stuff, and you should definitely check it out. Oh, Jesus. Okay. Rover was unarmed in a reasonable battering ram. Yeah, that's what I always did with it. I just run into it. In addition to the Titanfall diecast weapons, still have that friggin' 118 scale diecast Andromeda rover. Yeah, no, we're gonna make that happen soon with it. Here we have from Sheza, hella slowly coming along. Use cinnamon for the dirt and makeup sponge for a more smoky feel on the smoke, trying to keep the whole thing in comic style. Use cinnamon for the dirt. Sheza just doesn't give a fuck. Just doing whatever she wants over here. This worked out nicely. The whole skull pile that she's coming out of, and I like how the green sort of corpse fire is reflected on the skulls. Oof. That's pretty cool. Sheza, another great streamer you should be following here. Best smelling mini, yeah. And it has a nice aroma of cinnamon, yes. This mini has a lovely bouquet that you just want to savor a little bit. Oh God, is this the future of mini painting? Let's not make this a thing, you guys. Don't put... No. We're not doing smell-o-vision. We tried that. It didn't work out. The skull pile looks fantastic, Sheza. I'm really digging the green. I feel like if I were going to critique this at all, and obviously you're still work in progress here, I want this green to be more vibrant and more yellow, because right now your green highlights are tending towards desaturated whites. Like right here, these pale highlights. If you could work in more like bright yellow into your green, I feel like this green would just be more vibrant and pop more. That's the only thing I'd really change. Like Scratch a Sniff, but for adults. You don't want to know what that sticker smells like playing Win. Here we have from Kursala, we had a family painting day on Friday, which was kind of fun. We each got a mech and a tank to paint, and Data Nerd wants you folks to guess which one is hers. So here's the mechs. So I hate to stereotype the young, but I'm gonna take a wild guess here and say that Tiny Hands did this one over here. I feel like that's a safe bet. As far as which mech, I'm gonna guess Data Nerd did the Battle Master. That's my guess. You can tell me how close I got. This is an established Tiny Hands paint scheme. Yeah, this is in line, in line with the rest of the Tiny Hands Battle Company. God, excuse me. And they were all painted using Rainy River's Designs colors. Damn, this came out nice. Also correct. That was really just kind of a coin flip. I wish that I could tell you, oh yes, I knew because of this particular detail on the... I guessed. I pulled it right out of my ass. All in all, though, for a family painting night, damn, I can think of a worse set of minis to come out of that. This is really fucking cool, you guys. Ah, the family that paints together. Haints together? I don't have a verb for that one. Let's just keep going. Here from Data Nerd, Family Painting Day continued. Which one did Kursala do? I'll take feedback on mine. Mech and Tank, both still work in progress. I mean, I'm gonna also guess that you did the same colors. So I'm gonna guess middle is Kursala, and then we have Data Nerd over here, and then Tiny Hands over here, who went with a slightly more restrained palette for the Minotaur tank. Actually fairly pleasing with the green and the purple. But slightly less aggressive, let's say. And this is wonderful since Kursala sculpted and printed this and made the paints. This is in-house family entertainment right here. And it's so wholesome it makes me kind of want to throw up a little bit. Just in a good way, I guess. I like the colors you went with, Data Nerd. I like the way that you've divided up the portions of the tank in particular. So wholesome, right? My God. Oh, it's so family friendly. It just makes my skin crawl. You guys. Well, thank you for sharing those with us today, Data Nerd. Here we have from Rogue 19. Uh-oh. We're playing Cards Against Humanity, are we? In a pinch, a dollop of sour cream can be a suitable substitute for the moist, demanding chasm of his mouth. This fucking game. I swear. It brings out the worst.
Here at Thunderhead Studios, it's okay to be sloppy. Bonus points if it's white paint.
It's funny that we did similar things with the color choices. As far as I know, it was unintentional. Well, you know, that will happen.
There's something about Canopian catgirls that give me that warm, fuzzy feeling. Maybe it's just my allergies.
Built this beast yesterday on stream. The NASA Apollo Saturn V rocket Lego set is 3 foot long and has 1,969 nice pieces. It took me about 7 hours to build. That's a lot of Legos. Damn. I'm continuing. Like, Lego is just not something that I've followed. I know I've told you guys this before, but just as like a cultural phenomenon, it's not something that I have really followed. So I'm always kind of freshly amazed and impressed when I come across some of these more modern kits. They're astonishing. Took you 5 days to build one of these. Oh, so this is a fast build. Holy shit. I mean, it's remarkably accurate when it's all together. Man, those Saturn rockets were huge. Oh, it has a lander in it? It has somebody tell me what the technical name for this is. It's the landing pod. Like, this is the lander, and this is the Earth lander? What's the name of this? Command module. Thank you, Roland. I knew that there was going to be a name that I just didn't remember. Re-entry capsule. There we go. Everybody says command module. Command module got the most votes, so we're going with command module. Capsule. Command capsule. Re-entry command capsule. Re-entry landing command capsule. Parachute pants. I don't know. It's the doohickey. Was huge into Bionicle as a kid. I missed Bionicle almost entirely to Square. It's the butt plug. And you know it is, because as is most important, it has the flared base. Remember, kids, you always want the flared base. This is an important safety tip. I gotta take a nap, Jesus Christ. Oh, okay, let's just keep going. Let's keep going before this gets any worse. Here we have from Ion Raptor. The cruiser is done. I think I'll be releasing the pack like this and adding the carrier and battleship whenever I get around to them. To be fair, Ion Raptor, when you're playing the game, those larger ships, like, most people are going to be starting with the smaller ships. Most people will be starting with the smaller ships. So, yeah, I think that you're pretty well good to go. Love the detailing you've done on this. This was kind of bare before, and you see how adding almost entirely random shapes does so much for it. I love the windows to help sell the scale of the ship overall. Gives you just something to reference to go, I know how big I would be if I were on this ship. Love the split prow axial cannon. Oh yeah. I gotta get some of these on the printer. And I need to, take a look at this one and figure out what the best way to do basing for it is. Ion Raptor, if I have not sent you the bases that I did for the smaller ships, ping me and I'll make sure I get those over to you, because they actually have worked quite well. Figure most people won't ever use the big stuff. Yeah, it's entirely possible. Oh, I love this. I hadn't seen the actual axial cannon. This is ridiculous. Oh my god. I love that it's not just like a focusing array for a laser. This is a barrel for like a projectile. This is fucking nonsense. Most of this ship is cannon by this reckoning. I guess it could be like a concave beam emitter, but I look at this and I feel like I want it to fire a slug the size of a semi-truck. That's what I want. Can imagine it being a massive particle accelerator cannon? Yeah, Sumitha, but it's more fun to imagine that fire slug. Come on. Come on. And then the magazine can be back here someplace. With big, like, inert tungsten rods or something like that. That's your AC-40. Singularity cannon. Oh, well, somehow the energy weapons just aren't as fun to me. But Sir Isaac Newton is the deadliest son of a bitch in space. Here we have from Tiberius79, one of my Monpok figures. Oh, nice. Look at this. I don't know what monster. I'm not super familiar. I'm not super familiar with all the details of the Monpok monsters yet. I only know the small handful of them that I've taken a look at, and the two that I'm getting ready to paint myself. Love the coloration on this guy. The lavender to the purple, out to these cyans for the webbing between the fingers. Creates a nice balance across the mini, and then gives you this nice kind of focal point right up across the top where we have all these sort of textured bits of shading. And these are perfectly smooth when cast, so all these little detailing, all the scratches, all this little bit of texture coming off the edges, this is all done by hand, and it's done really well. Really nice, Tiberius, and here we have another set. Now, I recognize this guy because this is one of the monsters that I have. Gorkhadra, I think his name is. Kind of arguing with myself about what colors I want to use on him. I like what you've done here with the sort of coppery, bronzy armor plating and weapon systems that he has, and then the fleshier parts are in this more sort of sallow... That's what I'm looking for. Pale. Yeah. And I've looked at getting these. I think this is Roxor, I want to say his name is, and I can't remember the name of this one over here. But these are all world eaters, planet eaters, alien invaders from the Destroyer faction. And yeah, this is one of the buildings you can get. It's meant to be like a landing pod, because buildings are a part of your list building in this game. Use Turbo Dork for the armor. Oh, nice. Everyone says their metallic is real nice, and I guess I can kind of see that on this. Again, still arguing with how I want to color. I may just be really boring when painting Monpok and go for, like, studio scheme colors. I don't know. It's like picking colors is much further back in my mind right now than just doing the colors well. Particularly when it comes to oils. I'm like, I don't really want to think that much about what colors I'm choosing. I just want to have the colors picked for me and then focus on doing a good job with the ones that have been chosen. But I love these ones that you picked here. Particularly the use of the blue and the green for the eyes and the weapons and the little glowing neck parts on the belchers. Really good job. Very nice lunchbox. I should have guessed based on the 79. I forget I forget what people's names are sometimes on the Discord. I apologize. Here we have. Oh, I'm gonna die. Okay. I am going to take a nap after this. Yeah. Not sure I'll be around for the Storm Report. Haven't really done much lately, but wanted to wish everyone a happy Easter or even happy Sunday. Spiral sliced glazed ham with pineapple, cheesy potatoes, rolls, and sweet corn. This is a madman's meal. I mean, it looks delicious. It sounds delicious, but it's the madman's meal. I don't know what the pineapple slices are doing in there. That said, I would scoop that whole damn thing down the gullet, particularly with some delicious rolls. God, I'm hungry. Be sure to read Verg's comments. This will be my contribution to the Storm Report since I don't have any pictures. Mash your potatoes like normal. Put them in a deep casserole dish. Whip up a pint of heavy cream with a pinch of salt to peaks. Fold around a pound of shredded cheddar cheese gently into it. Spread it out on top of the potatoes and sprinkle more shredded cheddar on top. Bake it 325-ish for a while, till the top is golden brown and crispy, maybe 25 to 30 minutes. Okay. So you have like a layer of heavy cream and cheese on top of your potatoes that is then going to kind of cook down into them. Very interesting, Vergata. I would ask you to send that to me in a private message, because I'm going to lose it here on the Storm Report. But I have someone that I want to pass that on along. It does this to me, Wandering XP. They post food in the goddamn Storm Report, and by the end of it, I'm like ravenous. Just ravenous. Here we have from Dark Heart. Check out this Fabius Bile I picked up for my Dark Mechanicum detachment for my army. This one you picked up pre-painted, Dark Heart? It's a fairly nice job that he's done on here. Looks like he was starting to experiment with doing some of these like fluid effects. This is one of the older Fabius Bile figures too. Such an interesting character. I actually kind of like. I don't know if this was intentional on the basing, this kind of creep-esque effect with the bare plastic, but it actually kind of works. $25, that's not bad, really. A few seconds contemplate. I had to put together the whole thing in my head to understand what it was that I was reading. That's not a bad get. That is not a bad get at all, Darkheart. And this is a mini that I don't know if I'd bother repainting. Like, you just stick that right into a force. I think the guy did a good job. I might swap the light color here for a dark. Like, if someone handed me this mini, I'd probably redo the liquid effects myself, add in some bubbles and stuff like that. But all in all, this is a pretty solid paint job. Love the classic out-of-print models. Darkheart, you know, I do too, I gotta say. Cottage Pie is awesome. Wish I could have ground land more easily. And yeah, Cottage Pie really is just fucking amazing. Here we have from White Wolf for a setup Sunday. I take a pic of the booth itself, but that's a bit of a mess. So here, have something tidier. Airbrush. Things that have been going much better with my primer. Things have been going much better with my primer now. I did a bit of experimenting, but twice the amount of thinner that Mission Models claims is needed. Funny how it properly flows now, eh? Storm Report edit. Yeah, that cardboard's covered in terrain items now. That was a nice smooth prime job. I love seeing models getting put through the process. I've been so slow lately in actually getting things primed and painted and processed out. And then this last 2 days has slowed me down even more. Guys, I gotta get back on track. Gotta get back on track producing some damn models. Holy moly. Good to see some priming getting done, though, I have to say, White Wolf. Here we have up next from our very own Wandering XP, gonna share a bit of that Peter Parker with us. This came out wonderfully. I like the weathering that you wound up doing on the I-beam, too. Did a good job picking out the spider. I think the eyes came out well. A little bit of blue layering that you did on his legs, I think really, really pays off. Also the top of the bicep. Man, lining this guy is such a pain in the ass. This is a model, honestly, like, I feel like the core set of Marvel Crisis Protocol is a good argument for getting someone into using oil paints as washes. Because oil washes, I think, would go really, really well on the super soft detailing and the style of detailing we did on some of these. Like Spider-Man in particular, you could use oil washes and capillary action to fill in all of those webbings. Of course, I didn't do that, so all I can do is muse about the fact that it's probably possible, which makes this whole tangent pretty useless, ultimately. I like that you added a little bit of extra grit down here to kind of blend the rubble into the base, because otherwise it's kind of an abrupt transition, too. Wandering XP. Really, really good job, man. Wandering XP, again, a fantastic streamer. A truly fantastic streamer. If you're not following him, You really, really should be, you guys. I don't know how many times I can tell you that you need to follow Wandering XP, but I'm going to tell you one more time. Here we have from Lady B Miniatures some abstract painting, wildfire, medium acrylics, and water-soluble graphite on watercolor paper. Ooh. Ooh, this is interesting. I really quite like abstract art. You see Tau? What, in the first one? I like the kind of flow of the brushstrokes through this one. All kind of headed in the same direction and all sort of closing up in the same direction too. Oh, you right here. I'm guessing this is what you're talking about. Drakari saw this and he's like, "This is alien propaganda." I actually really enjoyed this, Lady B. It's also, this one in particular is so aggressive. Interestingly divided up too. There are areas where the grays and the reds really kind of occupy the same space, but then there are a few hard lines in there where they're distinct and separate. Lady B, if you felt like posting these into the 2D art showcase channel, I wouldn't mind having some more time to look at them. Because it definitely bears some more examination. Ramzoos, what good timing! What amazing timing! Absolutely incredible. Because we're at the end of the Storm Report, and as everybody knows, that means we are at the end of the stream. How you doing, Ramzoos? How are things, man? I know, right? Dude, thank you so much for the birthday present, by the way. Thank you so much. I haven't fired it up yet. I got my COVID shot Friday, and I'm just like... slowly dying. Hopefully not actually slowly dying. I hope I'm better. I hope I'm better tomorrow. Just, I feel like, you know when you take a wet towel and you spin it up, and then you snap somebody in the ass with it? I feel like the towel. Oh my god. Oh, yeah, who are we raiding? Hootie Hoo is up? If we have the opportunity to raid Hootie Hoo, I'm going to raid you guys over into his channel because he is a fantastic artist. It appears that he is. He is going. I'm not even going to ask any questions. We're going to raid on over into Hootie Hoo. Now, I will caution people, if this counts as a caution. Hootie Hoo has recently transitioned over into being a VTuber. And this is not a phenomenon that I myself was particularly familiar with prior to him starting doing it, but he seems to enjoy it. He has made his own animated avatar. It's actually really quite nice. If you're like really, really not into VTubers, you know, and I guess I could see how some people would be, he's a fantastic streamer, he's a fantastic artist, he's a really, really good dude. He's done his own avatar, so I think that his VTube avatar is actually fairly impressive for how it reacts to his facial expressions and stuff like that, and he uses his own voice. He doesn't use voice modulation or anything like that. But again, he is a phenomenal artist. So please, if you don't mind, stick around for a few minutes, check out the stream, check out his art. You know, make a little bit of noise, give him a follow, maybe broaden your horizons a little bit. Guys, thank you. Thank you, everybody, for being here tonight, despite it being a little bit of a short stream and me feeling like shit. I appreciate you guys coming out. Huge thank you to all of our new followers. I hope you guys had fun. Thank you guys for all the subs, and as always, a huge thank you to my mod team. You guys make this possible. Every bit of this you make possible. Kursala, Project Dark Fox, Riot Sister. I don't know what I'd do without you. I've got to go eat something and fall asleep. That's what I'm gonna go do. So until next time, keep on painting.